beat Ronda. We never had the fight me and Ronda, but they're gonna see me and Holm, and they're gonna be my best for kill her.
Well, as has become custom, the mixed martial arts leader closing out the calendar year in Las Vegas, Nevada. We welcome you to the T-Mobile Arena here in the desert, where later tonight, the UFC Women's Featherweight Championship will be at stake. The main event fighter arrivals are brought to you by Harley-Davidson. See your dealer today and learn to ride like some of your favorite UFC fighters with Harley-Davidson Riding Academy. Live your legend. And set to make the first defense of her undisputed UFC featherweight title tonight, enter Cris Cyborg. She has dominated the women's game for a decade. She is perfect inside the octagon. Many believe, though, this matchup tonight will be her toughest test to date. And that is because she draws the International Women's Boxing Hall of Famer and former UFC Bantamweight champion Holly Holm. Holm has added some muscle mass as she moves up a weight class tonight, as she vies to become the first woman to win UFC titles in multiple divisions. Live inside the T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, this is UFC 219, Cyborg versus Holm. Closed captioning for tonight's telecast is brought to you by the Netflix film Bright, starring Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, now streaming only on Netflix. Tonight's broadcast is also available in Spanish, brought to you by UFCEspanol.com. And with that, as always, a pleasure to have you with us on pay-per-view. I'm John Anik. Welcome to UFC 219. So, of course, earlier this year, Cris Cyborg finally added a UFC championship to one of the truly all-time great resumes in all of mixed martial arts. Tonight, though, a massive opportunity in front of the champion to stamp her legacy with a signature win against the decorated kickboxer and former pro boxer Holly Holm. Thrilled to welcome in my broadcast partners Joe Rogan and Dominic Cruz. We know Cris Cyborg has been must-see TV, but I don't know that she's ever had a fight that is as anticipated as the one she has tonight.
I agree with you, and I think that this stylistically is an incredibly intriguing fight because Cris Cyborg is insanely aggressive. She is one of the most aggressive strikers in all of MMA, not just the women's division. She is a destroyer, vicious, ruthless power, killer instinct, and a lot of people forget a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I think that also may play a part in this fight if it goes to the ground. But when it comes to strikers, Holly Holm will be the biggest test of her MMA career.
And that's because of the footwork of Holly Holm and the speed that she has. Also the punch count. She mixes up combinations very well, but more importantly, she can move laterally, side to side, and she can fight moving forwards and backwards, which is a huge tool you have to have against Cyborg because she pressures you so much. You have to be able to fight in all directions. Not to mention, she finishes her combinations with kicks. Another thing you have to do against Cyborg, because she'll eat a lot of your punches and then walk right out, and she could catch her with these kicks at the end of her punch combinations. Those were keys for Holly Holm in this matchup.
So here was the scene yesterday at the weigh-in. Holly Holm, one of the few fighters on this roster that can actually somewhat match the frame of the UFC featherweight champion Cris Cyborg, just hours away now from this much-anticipated UFC featherweight championship. Equal intrigue when it comes to this co-main event, the return of the 24-0 Khabib Nurmagomedov tonight against Edson Barboza.
This is a fantastic fight. This is one of the most highly anticipated lightweight fights in a long time. Khabib Nurmagomedov is the one guy when people talk about a challenge to the 155-pound title. It's this guy. He has been unrivaled inside the octagon. Not only has he won every fight, but he has only had a brief moment of adversity his entire career. He mauls people. His submissions, his takedowns, ground and pound, everything is ferocious. But he is fighting the best striker he's ever faced.
And if there was ever a time for Barboza to fight the number 2 guy, Khabib Nurmagomedov, it's now. He's had his whole career defending wrestlers trying to take him down, defending grapplers trying to submit him, to keep it on the feet and beat people down with his 24 and almost 0 basically kickboxing record. I mean, this guy is unstoppable on his feet, so all he has to do in his mind is stuff the early takedown, weather the early grappling storm of Khabib, and go out there and get that knockout that he's been waiting for his entire career.
And it doesn't sound like coach speak, Joe, when Barboza's coaches tell us that physically, mentally, he has never been on this level, so we'll see.
Well, he's a phenomenal talent, and I think he has some of the fastest kicks I've ever seen in the sport. First wheel kick ever in the UFC, 2 leg kick stoppages. I mean, the guy's phenomenal.
All right, that's the co-main event. We are loaded tonight on pay-per-view. Carlos Condit is back. It's all coming up.
The rest of the card is brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Powered by Real Player Motion Tech, EA Sports UFC 3 delivers the most authentic UFC experience ever in a video game. Pre-order now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. New Zealand's Dan Hooker has competed as high as heavyweight as a pro, but he appears to have found his wheelhouse at 155 pounds. Tonight, the Hangman goes for back-to-back wins against a man with a penchant for producing highlights, the American top team trained Mark Chikasi. He has accrued a lot of UFC experience over the last year, and he expects to put it to good use in this showcase here tonight. Also ahead, high stakes at strawweight. The undefeated phenom, Cynthia Calvillo, looks to continue her assault on the division and complete her year at 5-0 overall. She'll take on the former and first UFC strawweight champion, Carla Esparza, a proud rep of Team Oyama, who believes the form we will see tonight will be her best to date. But coming up next, the return of a UFC icon from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Just 2 years ago, Carlos Condit was a judge's scorecard away from becoming the undisputed UFC welterweight champion, but he's been idle since August of 2016. So tonight, with much fanfare, the natural-born killer is back against division staple Neil Magny, a 17-time UFC veteran with all the skills and the will to spring the upset tonight here in Las Vegas. All right, first let's get to the rules of the Octagon. 3 judges score the bout. The bout duration is 3 5-minute rounds. For championship fights and all main events, we go 5 5-minute rounds. A 10-point must-scoring system is in effect. The round winner gets 10 points, his or her opponent 9 or fewer, and scoring is based on effective striking and grappling, followed by aggression, and then Octagon control in that order. And we also let you know for the final time here in 2017, the Nevada State Athletic Commission has not adopted the new unified rules. Those are not in effect tonight. We will, though, have the limited use of instant replay, but once replay is invoked, a fight cannot be restarted. All right, first out of the tunnel here on pay-per-view, it'll be Carlos Condit versus Neil Magny. What's coming up? Brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3, powered by Real Player Motion Tech. EA Sports UFC 3 delivers the most authentic UFC experience ever in a video game. Pre-order now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. All right, just about ready to go with live action. Great to have you with us as we close out the year in Vegas. Well, the pre-fight spotlight is centered on Carlos Condit's Octagon homecoming, but this is the kind of action fight Neil Magny loves, and he is intent on spoiling the natural-born killer's return. The site of some of his greatest moments in the fight game, Las Vegas is the fitting destination for the long-awaited comeback of former interim welterweight champion Carlos Condit. Tonight, the natural-born killer returns to face Neil Magny and begin his road back to a UFC championship.
Neil Magny's a very well-rounded fighter. He pushes the pace, he's exciting, and all those things can be said about my style as well. So this matchup is it's going to be super fun for the fans.
Carlos come back from a long layoff. I'm the worst guy he wants to fight right now. I'm eager to prove myself and get back to the top division, so I'm ready to go.
Colorado's Neil Magny was long considered one of the most underrated fighters on the planet. But with wins in 4 of his last 6 bouts over Kelvin Gastelum, Hector Lombard, Eric Silva, and Johnny Hendricks, Magny is a secret no more. And a win against Condit tonight would be his biggest to date.
At this point in my career, fighting Carlos Condit is a great opportunity for me. Being another former world champion sets me a great lead for 2018.
Out of action since a bout against Damian Maia in August of 2016. Albuquerque's Carlos Condit is an icon and longtime fan favorite whose epic battles with Robbie Lawler, Johnny Hendricks, George St. Pierre, and Martin Kampmann have cemented his place among the sport's most revered. All of that said, the natural-born killer remains hungry for more as he prepares to take on Magny.
Anytime somebody's closing an octagon with me, it's a dangerous situation for them. And you know, where I'm at right now, what I've been working on, and the progress that I've made it's going to show up, and I'm going to walk away successful tonight.
All right, so here's Neil Magny making his 18th UFC appearance at 17 years old. He walked into old friend Miguel Torres' gym, became an All-Army Combatives champion during his 7 years in the Army. But the second most UFC wins since 2013. I mean, a lot of people would classify him as an overachiever as he's put himself into this welterweight mix.
Well, he has phenomenal cardio. You want to talk about a guy who pushes a pace. Neil Magny, the volume of his strikes, this constant and relentless. He has amazing discipline. A lot of that probably related to his service in the military. Just a sponge, constantly learning and evolving, and he has fought a who's who. Lost his last bout to Rafael dos Anjos, been in there with Johnny Hendricks, who he beat, the former champion, in a 3-round unanimous decision in his previous fight. So he's had some great fights against great competition, and this is another one of those opportunities for him. This is a new challenge, a new type of fight, and a guy who's similar to him in the long ranginess, but Carlos Condit, the former interim champion, is particularly dangerous.
Magny number 12 in the world and really wanted one more fight before this year closed out. All right, now we get ready for the natural-born killer, Carlos Condit, set to make this walk for the first time in well over a year. Tonight, he will walk out to a song featured in Bright, a Netflix film. The song is Holm by Machine Gun Kelly, ex-ambassadors, and BB Rexha.
Lord, I didn't power through the struggle just to let a little trouble knock me out of my position and interrupt the vision after everything I witnessed after all of these decisions.
A pro dating to 2002 and one of the most popular fighters on this UFC roster, top to bottom. Here is the former UFC interim welterweight champion, Carlos Condit.
I mean, you want to talk about a guy with a tremendous amount of experience. You forget that Carlos Condit is only 33 years old.
Right.
I mean, when you think about his time in the WEC, his time in the UFC, all the fights he's had against top-flight competition from the jump, never had an easy fight. I mean, this guy has been there and done that for a long time.
My very first fight in the WEC 47, I was in the warm-up room with Carlos Condit getting ready for Brock Larson, and I watched him kickbox in this tiny little room. And I was just getting going in my career. I was 9-0, and I said, who is this scary dude? And he's got some girl holding pads for him with a ponytail, and the dude has a ponytail. And these guys are swinging their ponytails everywhere, holding pads for him. And I'm like, and they got combat boots and black coats on, and I'm like, what is happening? What am I doing in here? And then he goes out and murders Brock Larson. I said, I never stopped watching Carlos Condit after that. I've been a fan ever since. He mixes things up so well on the ground. He never stops attacking, and he is so tricky with his kicks and the way that he sets you up with his hands. He punches, touches you, makes you think nothing's gonna happen, that there's no threat, and then on the way out, after he baits you with his hands, he flips a kick up there and can knock you out at any given time. We've seen it against Nick Diaz, we've seen it against GSP, against countless others, and he's got outstanding finishing ability. I can't say enough great things about Carlos Condit and the things I've watched for his career.
Yeah, very creative with his strikes, his elbows, flying knees. I mean, he can really do it all. And been there against basically everybody.
Right. And tonight, In his 14th UFC appearance, Carlos Condit ends the longest layoff of his career, 16 months, 490 days. Did have a 14-month layoff not all that long ago as well. Reconstructive knee surgery, torn ACL and meniscus. But Condit feels like he's still improving, and he is ready to prove as much here tonight to kick off the pay-per-view against Neil Magny. All right, with that backdrop, here is your tail of the tape for this welterweight fight. Condit 33 years old, Magny 30. Magny taller by an inch. He will have a 4.5-inch reach advantage. Number 8 versus number 12 in the UFC welterweight division. To get us started with the introductions, inside the octagon to Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live from Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena for UFC 219, Cyborg versus Holm. And now, this fight is 3 rounds in the UFC welterweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a mixed martial artist holding a professional record, 19 wins, 7 losses. He stands 6 feet 3 inches tall, weighing in at 170.5 pounds. Fighting out of Denver, Colorado, Neil Magny. And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist holding a professional record, 30 wins, 10 losses. He stands 6 feet 2 inches tall, weighing in at 170.5 pounds. Fighting out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, he is the former WEC welterweight champion and the former interim UFC welterweight champion and the number 8 ranked welterweight contender in the world, the natural born killer, Carlos Condit. When the action begins, our referee in charge, Big John McCarthy.
John McCarthy, our referee for this one. UFC 219 Cyborg versus Holm is presented in high definition by the Netflix film Bright, starring Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, now streaming only on Netflix. Tonight's fight clock is brought to you by Air Asia. Now everyone can fly. Carlos Condit is in black. Neil Magny is in blue. Condit was careful after the Damian Maia fight to not call it a retirement. Idle for 16 months. But wasn't making any promises beyond tonight. He wanted to see how it would go against a legitimate welterweight test here in Neil Magny.
I just think he had been to a point in his career where he had fought so often and so many fighters. Down to the ground here, looking for the leg. Carlos wrapping up the left leg of Magny.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, Joe. He's just always going for grabbing something. He's never just on his back waiting for you. He's doing something with everything he gets. Right now, he's just making it tricky for Neil. Nothing much is going on.
Yeah, he doesn't have his arm around the ankle. He's not committing to that left leg.
He's not taking damage either.
Right, but he's also putting Neil in a position where he realizes, okay, now full guard.
Head out to your neighborhood 7-Eleven and get a UFC branded Big Gulp for a chance to instantly win prizes.
Hands on the biceps, Neil. Good. Yes, Neil. Head up.
Condit back to his feet. Magny with one underhook here, continuing to apply pressure.
Magny's takedown here. Magny's all over him here. Magny's trying to drag Carlos to the ground now, and Carlos defends.
The one thing we could say bad about Carlos Condit is that sometimes he gets taken down and out-grappled. If he can't submit you from his back, he tends to lose decisions just staying on his back at times. And that's one way Neil Magny can win a decision or really do some damage to Carlos. Keep taking him down over and over, stay in this close proximity range, just in the pocket, and just stay grappling with Carlos Condit the whole fight and stay out of submissions, and then he can win a decision that way. Carlos Condit needs to worry about staying at space, keep digging for these underhooks and not keep getting taken down. He can't keep giving up these takedowns so easily. He's got to make Neil work for him a little.
Coming in, Condit had been taken down in 15 of his 18 UFC and WEC appearances combined.
Watch the elbow on the break.
2.5 minutes gone by here, round one.
Neil's doing super good at catching anything that Carlos throws and firing back. That keeps Carlos from getting any kind of reads or rhythm.
And it looked like Magny drew a little bit of blood out of that nose of Condit with one of those right hands. Pretty good start for the underdog, Neil Magny.
Yeah, Magny relentless with his pressure here. And one thing you count on with Magny is he will have the same pace for the entire fight. Never gets tired. One of the most impressive aspects of his ability inside the octagon, and you really saw it in the Hector Lombard fight. He was in grave trouble early in that fight, but just through his perseverance, toughness, and his cardio, managed to stop Lombard.
Outpointed Kelvin Gastelum over 5 rounds at altitude in Mexico City. Yeah, you don't have to worry about the Magny gas tank.
I love how Magny's firing back on every single one of Carlos Condit's kicks. I mean, anytime Carlos throws a kick, he tries to catch it or at least fires a punch down the middle. Anytime Carlos does anything, you've got to do that to keep Carlos guessing. And now you see Carlos isn't throwing his kicks the same. He's thinking about it. And that's why Neil's doing very well right now, to keep Condit from getting the reads that he's so good at.
Yeah, he's not giving Carlos any space. And not giving him any space, he doesn't give Carlos enough time to get creative. Yeah, not comfortable.
Agreed. Under a minute now to go, round one. Condit, a staple of this UFC roster since April 1st of 2009, when he debuted against Martin Kampmann.
Nice combo by Carlos. Neil really, though, is the one that's just been getting off first for the most part.
And how much, Dom, do you attribute this to activity? And Carlos being out for 16 months?
That's a good question. I mean, honestly, Joe, that could be part of it. But I think that can get worked out in practice. I mean, that's my belief. You can work out any amount of time you're gone if you suffer enough in training camp. That's just the way it is. You put the work in, you take out those kinks. Who knows, though? He might have thought he was right, and then you face somebody like Neil and you realize you got more work to do. That's the point. That's what's so tough about what Carlos is doing, is there's no right answer to that question.
Nice combination there by Carlos. A left to the body and a right leg kick. The Dutchie. Spinning back kick.
So a nice close to the round for the natural-born killer. Tonight's Corner Cam is brought to you by AirAsia. Now everyone can fly.
Have a seat. Good job. Real deep breath. Nice and relaxed. Give me the ice. Nice and relaxed. We need to stay in our range, right?
Yes, sir.
That's where you're doing best. Everything's working good from your range. All the pick and pull, even the shift, right? Shift to double jab cross is a southpaw. It's there, it's there. Let's slap and then go low kick, okay? Slap and then go low kick. Everything looks good, but we were gonna stay in our range.
That's the key, your range, understand?
Yes, sir. Your range kick when you send off Carlos. When you back him up, controlling the guy. Running in the cage, elbows up the middle, all right? He sucks backing up, all right? Don't mean the space. All right. Feints and feints.
Yeah.
Back his ass up.
Double right hand, baby.
Go get him, Lowe's. Southpaw, let's go.
Second gear, Lowe's.
On Sunday, January 14th, two of the most fan-friendly fighters on the roster take center stage. Jeremy Stephens looking for the 17th knockout of his career against the returning Korean Superboy Do Ho Choi. It is FS1 UFC Fight Night. Stephens versus Choi, special Sunday nighter. January 14th, 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, only on FS1. All right, round two here, Neil Magny, Carlos Condit. Dom, any major takeaways in either corner after round one?
Well, I like what both cornermen said. Greg said Carlos needs to be first, basically. Double right hands, get Neil on his heels, and he's right about that. Let's see if he follows up with what Greg said. He's got to be first this round and not let Neil go first. That's basically what happened that whole first round.
Yeah, Neil just put so much pressure on you. Constant movement.
It's the switching stance that's tricky too, because when your opponent's switching like that nonstop, it's hard to get the reads. Again, that's what Carlos needs, is reads. And with the way that Neil's switching and pressuring, it's hard to do that.
And to that end, the Magny pressure advancing 40% of the time thus far.
You see Neil, he'll throw a 1-2 from a conventional stance. After the 2, instead of bringing it back to his face, he'll follow through with a jab as a southpaw, and then with another 2 as a southpaw. So he's switching stance in the middle of combination, which takes away the counters from Carlos a lot of times. You see Demetrius Johnson do that well as That's a nuance to MMA right now, that a lot of fighters are switching stance in the middle of combinations and shifting in that form.
Magny's got the body locked here. We'll see if he tries to change levels.
Watch the head. Good. Nice.
Now pull hard on that knee.
You go, you go, you
That
go.
knee's not doing good, Neil.
Left knee, left knee. Knees here.
Hook the knee again.
Good. Keep working here.
Hook and trip.
Anytime somebody's held against the fence, it's because they're losing the underhook battle. And you can see Neil has the underhooks the whole time on Carlos. Now Carlos going for the scramble, trying to create some leg lock attempts here.
Yeah, he's going for this leg, but he's got to be very careful to not get... Okay, I like how he grabbed that right leg as well. Tying the both of these up now. He's got to get Neil off of the base. He doesn't have the leg, though. He's being smart about it. He doesn't want to commit to two-on-one, and leave the opportunity to get punched.
And this is exactly how we've seen Carlos lose in the past. He just gets smothered, basically. Put on the fence. He loses the underhook battle from his back and from the fence, and then gets held down.
Carlos is looking for a Kimura now on the left arm of Magny.
But how much does him committing to the submission game also reason why he gets so many finishes, right, Joe? I mean, he's not standing up, but it's not like he's just sitting on his back either.
Right.
He's attacking.
No, he's trying to win. It's just with guys like Hendricks or big, powerful wrestlers, he hasn't been able to get him off him when he gets to this position.
How about the evolution of MMA? I mean, you think these guys are just so much better at jiu-jitsu now that Carlos might not be getting the same submissions he got earlier?
Well, for sure, Neil Magny's very well trained. He's got Elliot Marshall in his corner. They're all out of Jamal Easton's in Colorado. Fantastic camp.
Touches the body.
Very aggressive here now.
And Jackson said, put him on the fence and throw those elbows, and we saw him attempt it there. Neil doing the right things, pressuring right back with offense to get Carlos off of him.
Under 90 seconds now to go in this second round. Condit slips the head out of harm's way there. Condit with a flurry and a big right.
And now he's got the underhooks here. Let's see if Neil starts winning this underhook war here. You'll see Neil dig a right underhook under the left arm of Carlos. There it is, and that's Carlos losing the underhook war, and then he gets put right back on the fence here. And now he's got double underhooks, and we'll see him get the body lock against Carlos here. Oh, Carlos dug in for the underhook there, and now he's able to switch position. And that's what happens. He loses the underhook battle and then gets taken down here because he goes for the clinch. He needs to stick with the over-under and keep digging and pummeling instead of going to the clinch and losing the underhook battle, getting put on his back.
Well, Neil Magny at his relentless best here tonight. He's attempted nearly 10 takedowns thus far, and he secures that one.
Carlos looking for the armbar here. I do not believe that the left arm is in deep enough, or the right arm rather is in deep enough.
Go hold with the toes, Carlos. There you go.
He's going onto the leg again, but again, can't commit to it for fear of getting punched.
Bye-bye. There you go.
And here we see exactly as Dom predicted, Neil Magny winning the takedown battle here, and Carlos attempting an elbow there, but it sort of caught the back of the shoulder.
Look at me. Deep breath. Whose range? My range. Your range. All the time. Do you understand?
Perfect. Your range and your speed. It's perfect. It's beautiful.
Everything's great. The cage work is excellent, right? Head position, dominate in the clinch. Beautiful job. On the ground, just doing
Up the middle.
Carlos, we might be down 2 rounds. I need 5 minutes of fury in order to win this thing.
Sure.
Understand?
You sure. You finish it.
Water?
You got it. You finish it. You not go down. You finish it.
Yeah. 3, 4, 5 shots. It ties up with you. You get out of there.
Well, the 2018 UFC pay-per-view slate opens January 20th with an unbelievable card in Boston. Heavyweight champ Stipe Miocic looking for a record 3rd straight title defense against Francis Ngannou, fresh off of that devastating knockout of Alistair Overeem. UFC 220. Saturday, January 20th from TD Garden in Boston, 10 in the East, 7 in the West. It is only on pay-per-view. All right, third and final round here between Carlos Condit and Neil Magny. Mike Winklejohn not mincing his words in the corner of Condit. They believe their fighter needs a finish.
I believe he does too.
Yeah. Well, he has finished 28 of his 30 professional wins, so perhaps Condit can get the offense going here to start this third round.
Greg Jackson gave him great advice. They said stay out of the clinch and get out of there, but the problem is he's getting in the clinch because he's losing the underhook work. He needs the underhooks in order to get out of the clinch, and that's where Neil Magny is able to put him on the fence and keep him there and get these takedowns and win each round with takedowns and grappling and his range, as his corner said. So we need to see Carlos Condit make the adjustment if he does get in that clinch and win the underhook war so he doesn't get taken down.
7 times Neil Magny has won a fight in the UFC as a betting underdog, trying to make it 8 here tonight. 1 minute gone by round 3.
And see, something that Carlos loves is throwing that leg kick and then stemming his combinations off of it. Well, Neil Magny's firing something off of every single leg kick Carlos throws, so he's losing his flow, he's losing his combination rhythm that he likes. And so he's having a tough time hitting on Neil Magny.
Yeah, and he's caught that leg kick on several occasions. Good check there by Carlos. I mean, whether it's Neil Magny's pressure or whether it's Carlos's octagon rust, Carlos just seems off on his feet. Just doesn't seem like he's got his timing right, like right there.
It's all range, Joe, like the Neil Magny's corners were saying, is keep it at your range and you win, and right now they're doing exactly that.
The interesting thing is the range is not much different. It's not like Neil's got a gigantic
This
reach
is the
advantage.
range they want.
Yeah.
This is the range that they're talking about, in the pocket.
Especially after the success of the second round at this.
Definitely.
Carlos is trying to separate those hands, but standing up really tall as well. Oh, he's committing to this arm. He's committing to that left arm.
That's in. I mean, that's tight. And if Neil doesn't make a good choice,
it's over already.
And now he's good. He got out of there in time. And listen to those corners in Carlos. Now we got an open flow fight, and that gives Carlos a chance to still be in it.
Right hand by Magny.
And that's combinations. That's the good thing about combinations. You throw one at a time, it's easy to defend. But Neil Magny's throwing combinations high-low with kicks, takedowns. He's mixing it up so well.
And he's evading very well, too.
He hasn't taken very much damage at all. Seeing everything that Carlos is throwing right now. And you see how Carlos starts with the leg kick? That's his flow. He starts the leg kick. Just like a boxer would start with a jab. That's Carlos's jab, is that kick. And Neil's doing such a good job just countering it right off the bat that it takes away his combination flow.
Condit's starting to open up a little bit here with less than 2 minutes to go. But the clock continues to churn here. And in all likelihood, Condit's going to need a finish. Magny, just such a coachable athlete. You remember him on The Ultimate Fighter, didn't know how to use his length like this. Christian Allen has worked wonders. Elliot Marshall on the ground. Pretty impressive young man.
Nothing Magny hits you with is overwhelming, but it never stops. Out of all the fighters that you see inside the octagon, he's probably the best example of someone who never throws everything with 100% of his strength.
Yeah. We saw the polar opposite of that earlier tonight. And guys like Omari Akhmedov and Khalil Roundtree Jr.
The irony is he never gets tired. Maybe it's because he's not throwing everything he has.
100%.
So he's beating you with cardio.
Cardio and strategy.
Right. Technique, of course. Right now, he's definitely out-strategizing Condit. I mean, they beat him with the pressure and in the clinch here. That's where the fight was won. And that's the best way to beat Condit. If you look in his past record, this is the best way to get him, is try to grapple him and smother him and defend his submission attempts.
Tremendous control on the ground by Magny. Yeah, very impressive.
Awesome fight by Magny. He showed what he was in this fight against a nasty veteran in Condit.
So Neil Magny continues to defy the odds. Carlos Condit had some moments in this one, certainly in that third round. But in all likelihood, the judges will see this one for Neil Magny. This fight replay is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you.
And as we see here, this is where the fight was won. The underhook battle is won by Neil Magny, as he does with so many with those long arms, and he keeps getting these takedowns by sucking that body lock up, switching to double legs, switching to single legs, back to the body lock. I mean, he transitioned so well on the fence with the underhooks that he was just simply beating Carlos Condit in the clinch and then taking him to the ground and stalling out his submissions for the win. Very nice, savvy, professional win by Neil Magny. Fought very smart.
Two of the classiest guys in the game. Magny goes over to greet the Jackson Wink coaches, Brandon Gibson and the crew in the corner of Carlos Condit. So the last time Condit had an extended layoff, he came out guns blazing and got Thiago Alves out of there in round 2. Different strokes here tonight as he got all he could handle from Neil Magny in this return from a near 500-day layoff. Magny in search of a 13th UFC win here tonight and an 8th as betting underdog. Pretty incredible stuff from the perpetual overachiever, Neil Magny. I say that with all due respect, right? Overachiever.
100%. I mean, the work rate was pretty even. It's the grappling that really made the difference for Magny in this one.
All right, the official decision is brought to you by Metro PCS, who brings you closer than ever to the UFC on a fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Here now, Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. The judges score the contest 30-27, 30-27, and 29-28 for the winner by unanimous decision, Neil Magny.
All right, I'm here with the winner, Neil Magny. First of all, Neil, congratulations on one of the most important victories of your career. Former interim champion in Carlos Condit and a clear and dominant decision by you. How happy are you with this?
Oh man, this moment right now feels amazing. I thank all you guys for coming out and watching this fight. Thank you for all my coaches and training partners for pushing me to get this far.
How much of the takedowns were in the strategy preparing for this fight, and how much of it was just what you felt in the octagon?
So coming into this fight, I knew this would be super close, super even. I didn't know where I'd find an advantage. In the first round, I realized wrestling was that advantage, so I kept going for wrestling.
Well, listen, Neil, Carlos Condit is one of the best guys in the division. This is a huge victory for you. Where do you feel this puts you in this welterweight division, and what kind of opponent would you like to face next?
Oh man, I feel like this point's coming right back to go face one in the top 5, so I'm ready to go. Let's kick 2018 off with a bang.
Congratulations on an excellent performance. Neil Magny, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, Condit came in number 8 in the world, Magny at number 12 in this welterweight division. These fighter stats brought to you by AirAsia. Now everyone can fly, and how about that? Most UFC wins alongside Donald Cerrone since 2013. Neil Magny, of course, getting 5 of those wins back in 2014. Former foes turned buddies. How about Doo Ho Choi and Cub Swanson? They combined to turn in the consensus fight of the year in 2016. And Doo Ho Choi returns on Sunday, January 14th in a main event against fellow featherweight contender Lil Heathen Jeremy Stevens. Will Smith and Joel Edgerton star in Bright, a Netflix film now streaming only on Netflix. And Bright, the album, is now available. This one of the featured tracks, Dark Side, by Ty Dolla $ign and Future, featuring Kiara.
Some nights it's hard for me to fall asleep. That's just the dark side of me.
All right, coming up next, what should be an absolutely outstanding strawweight clash. Couple of title hopefuls and ranked contenders, Carla Esparza and Cynthia Calvillo. Calvillo a perfect 3-0 in the UFC, but she figures to get her toughest test to date from the former champion, Carla Esparza. They make the walk, coming up here shortly. UFC 219, Cyborg versus Holm, is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Motel 6. When you're ready to tap out, check in at Motel 6 and save. We'll leave the light on for you. By EA Sports UFC 3. Powered by Real Player Motion Tech, EA Sports UFC 3 delivers the most authentic UFC experience ever in a video game.
Pre-order now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. By Performance Inspired, the all-natural high-performance line of sports nutrition trusted by athletes and health enthusiasts. Visit pi-nutrition.com. And by the Netflix film Bright, starring Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, now streaming only on Netflix. And now here's a look at EA Sports UFC 3 through the eyes of UFC 220. Powered by Real Player Motion Tech, EA Sports UFC 3 delivers the most authentic UFC experience ever in a video game. Pre-order now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
All the champions, all the action.
The heavyweight champion of the world, an aggressive striker who loves to KO fighters.
All the greatness.
Ngannou! He has the world record for the hardest human punch.
All the hype.
Cormier, one of the greatest fighters that has ever competed.
Ozdemir.
He is a wrecking machine.
As close as you can get without stepping foot in the octagon. Are you ready for the fights to begin?
All right, as we get ready for this next fight, we show you the strawweight rankings 5 through 10, brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Powered by Real Player Motion Tech, EA Sports UFC 3 delivers the most authentic UFC experience ever in a video game. Pre-order now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So Joe, 6 versus 9 here tonight, but things likely to change here. We'll see what Carla Esparza can do here tonight as the underdog against Cynthia Calvillo.
Well, Cynthia is very, very excited about this fight. It's an opportunity to fight a former champion, not just a former champion, but a champion who will also submitted the current champion, Rose Namajunas, earlier in her career.
Right.
Cynthia Calvillo, undefeated and very impressive inside the octagon. She's wild and fun, and Carla Esparza is a tough wrestler. She's got a lot of experience. She's strong. She likes this matchup as well. I think this is a really interesting fight and a very important fight for the strawweight division, given Carla Esparza's success as a former champion and the person who submitted Rose Namajunas. And Cynthia Calvillo has just tons of personality. She's a lot of fun, and she's wild inside that octagon.
She made her pro debut, did Calvillo, in August of 2016 and has already accrued 6 pro fights, 3 of them in the UFC. She will try to stay undefeated as she takes on Carla Esparza here tonight. One of the hardest working athletes in MMA, Cynthia Calvillo has dominated her short pro career in the space of 16 months to launch herself into this matchup against the former UFC champion, Carla Esparza. One of the breakout stars of 2017, Cynthia Calvillo took the UFC by storm with a run of 3 straight wins, all serving to position the Californian for tonight's big test against the first fighter to hold the UFC strawweight title, Carla Esparza.
Carla would be a great victory for me because she is the former champion. She's a veteran. She's got many years of experience, and me being one of the newer fighters, this will definitely be one of my biggest tests and will really show where I stand.
I really want to push the pace. I've been working a lot on just upping my game for this fight, so I think it's going to be good. I'm going to go for the kill.
In 2014, Carla Esparza made history, finishing up her run on The Ultimate Fighter by submitting Rose Namajunas to win the UFC Strawweight Championship. Esparza would lose the belt, but with subsequent wins over Juliana Lima and Marina Moroz, she is back within striking range of another crack at the belt.
It doesn't matter really who has that belt, you know, whether it's Rose, Joanna, or whoever, you know. My goal is to make my way back into the octagon and get that belt back.
When injuries delayed her pro debut by over 2 years, Cynthia Calvillo was determined to make up for lost time. And since she made that debut in 2016, she has done just that, fighting and winning 6 times. Now, following wins against Amanda Cooper, Pearl Gonzalez, and Joanne Calderwood, she is primed for Esparza.
You're not going to want to miss this fight. Just go watch this fight. I'm going to be there. She's going to be there. They can close the octagon door, and we're going to get it on. And that's it. You know, I don't need to sit here and convince you and tell you how it's going to happen. Everybody's going to find out.
Take my money, Cynthia Calvillo. Just take it.
I smell sarcasm.
So here is Carla Esparza. This is an active pursuer of the takedown, Dom. Highest takedown rate in strawweight history, lands nearly 5 per 15 minutes. 4-year collegiate wrestler at Menlo College, full scholarship. And tonight we'll see how she approaches this.
Well, first of all, how many women decide to go into wrestling, you know, in college and suffer and just, you know, cut weight and do all that while you're going to school? It's not a lot. She stuck to it and did it. You can see it in her fight resume. I mean, she does so well. And these takedowns don't happen on accident. She rarely shoots the same takedown twice back to back. She moves her head on both sides of the hips, which means she can shoot left and right-handed. She switches from single legs back to double legs. She puts 2-3 together. And more than anything with her striking is how she sets it up, because she tries to get you trying to chase her, trying to hit her head. She almost puts her head out there for you. And then when you try to swing, she times whichever takedown she's going to do, and she gets you to the mat. Once she gets you to the floor, she just hangs on you until you got no energy left. And then when you get back to your feet, you guys are now even, and you're still forced to grapple with her.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of grappling in this fight. Cynthia Calvillo is outstanding on the ground, and Carla is a very good wrestler. So I anticipate a lot of scrambles on the ground. I'm really curious to see whether Cynthia can deal with the wrestling strength that Carla's going to bring into the octagon.
Esparza has taken down all of her UFC opponents. That includes the former UFC strawweight queen Joanna Jędrzejczyk, Carla Esparza, with Colin Oyama in her corner, making her 6th UFC start here tonight. And that brings us, Joe, to Cynthia Calvillo. She really has taken this division by storm. First UFC fighter to get a 4th fight here in 2017, and she is looking to make a run at that belt beginning tonight.
She's got a ton of personality. She's a lot of fun, and she's really fun to watch inside the octagon. She enjoys it. You can see it in the way she fights. She's got a chip on her shoulder, and she loves to scrap. She's also got a very sneaky ground game. She's very good at submissions, good at standing up, getting better all the time. And, you know, she's in the prime of her young career right now. She's loving it. She's enjoying it. She's got a great camp at Team Alpha Male, and Justin Buchholz, who's giving her some water right there, is very high on this young lady's potential.
Something that makes Calvillo have a good personality is the fact that she lets her personality shine in general. She's not trying to paint a picture. She's unapologetic for the person that she is, for anything she says. You heard her in the coming out. I don't have to tell you to watch it. Just watch the fight.
I'm going to be there. She's going to be there.
She does not care what you think, and that's her personality, and that's what makes her interesting, and you know she's bringing everything.
Yeah, she's a wild woman. Very fun once she gets in there.
This her 5th fight of 2017. She's taken down all 3 of her UFC opponents. She's attempted at least 2 submissions against all of her UFC foes as well. Tonight's Vegas odds brought to you by AirAsia. Now everyone can fly. Cynthia Calvillo in a familiar role as betting favorite, -230. The comeback on the former champion Carla Esparza at +180. 2 of the top 9 strawweights in the world set to go at it on pay-per-view tonight. And let's get to the tail of the tape for this one, to be contested at 115 pounds. Calvillo 30, as is Carla Esparza. Calvillo, the taller woman by 3 inches. She weighed in at 116 pounds, 115.5 for Carla Esparza. Slight reach advantage with Cynthia Calvillo. All right, now for the particulars, back inside of Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the UFC strawweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a wrestler holding a professional record, 13 wins, 4 losses. She stands 5 feet 1 inch tall, weighing in at 115.5 pounds. Fighting out of Irvine, California, presenting the former UFC strawweight champion and the #9 ranked strawweight contender in the world, Carla Cookie Monster Esparza! And now introducing her opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a freestyle fighter holding an undefeated professional record, 6 wins, no losses. She stands 5 feet 4 inches tall, weighing in at 116 pounds. Fighting out of Sacramento, California, presenting the #6 ranked strawweight contender in the world, Cynthia Calvillo. And when the action begins, our referee in charge, Chris Tione.
Now, much has been made of the fact that Cynthia Calvillo only made her pro debut in August of 2016, but as many of our fans know, she would have made her pro debut in 2014, but she suffered a bad arm injury, kept re-breaking her forearm in the same place. So a little delay, but Calvillo has certainly made up for lost time. Tonight's Fight Clock is brought to you by AirAsia. Now everyone can play. Calvillo is in black, Esparza in the white with gray.
Pressure is going to be key for Calvillo. I think that forces the takedown of Esparza. If she just pressures and throws the shots to the body early and then looks for the headshots as the fight progresses, that's Calvillo's key, I think. And I think we just need to see Carla be first with the right hand and then the doubles.
Calvillo is getting off with that right hand, Dom.
Oh yeah, they both are.
Yeah, and one thing that I'm noticing is Calvillo is able to strike. She is a taller girl, but she's also got better ability to move in and out. She's moving in with larger steps. There's a nice leg kick by Carla.
I think the big difference is going to be the camp that Calvillo comes from. She's confident in her grappling. I mean, that whole camp does nothing but guillotines and non-stop grappling, and that's something you're going to see in this fight. The more shots that are taken.
And there's a takedown, look at that.
And it was timed off the striking of Esparza. That's the difference. It's not just a shot. She waited for the punch. She read the punch and then took her down off.
And she's very skillful on the ground. I've been very impressed with her flexibility, her ability to improvise.
Wrestlers generally, if that's their first background, the worst place you could put them is their back. And we see right now, Carla is just flat on her back, and she needs to get to a hip at the least and start digging underhooks if she's going to get back to her feet.
Calvillo, excuse me, Joe.
I'm sorry, I was just going to say her corner's yelling out underhook, underhook. She's got the half guard on the same side as her right. She wants to get that underhook on that right side, and her corner was calling out for it, but she's not recognizing it.
She's digging. She just can't quite get it because Esparza knows that if she gets that underhook, she's stuck. She's flat on her back. So she's fighting that underhook well.
I'm sorry, I meant Carla. Carla's corner is asking out for her to get the underhook, to try to get back up.
She needs that right underhook and then get to her left hip.
Well,
there
she's got the underhook. She
now she's got to go to her left hip now. And get that, she has to get that bottom leg out. This is where the half guard becomes an anchor if you're on bottom sometimes, if you don't use it to sweep. And right now,
she's trying. But Cynthia's very good on the ground. Keeps her flat, keeps her on her back. Lands a little elbow there. Carla going for an armbar. Look at this. Look at this.
It's deep. Calvillo doing the right thing. She wants to pressure down, not pull out here, not pull up. Pressure the legs down into the head of Esparza so that Esparza can't get her hips away and straighten that arm out. And
look at this. Look at this. Carla Esparza.
Looks like she lost it.
But lets her know that she's dangerous off her back.
Under 2 minutes here to go, round one. Good start for the 6th-ranked Cynthia Calvillo here.
And submission attempts take energy too, Joe. So that took some energy out of Esparza to go for that armbar and miss it, and gives Calvillo a little bit more confidence to stay here and just keep Esparza on her back.
Esparza struggling a little bit with the physicality of Cynthia Calvillo, and a lot of 115ers figured to it.
Yeah, she's very strong at this weight.
Well, you got to think, how often is Esparza on her back in practice? She's usually taking everybody else down, so she has less reps here. And that's the smarts in Cynthia Calvillo, putting the wrestler on their back, where we don't train a lot here. We train mostly on top positions and in the scrambles. And right now, Calvillo is showing the hole in Esparza's game from her back.
Esparza has landed 33 ground strikes unofficially against just 12 for Calvillo, but it's a good look for the judges if you are working out of top position as opposed to off your back.
Carla's trying to spin out, looking to try to secure a no-arm triangle. But doesn't get it and still finds herself in the same position.
She just has great top pressure. She's following the hips right. She's pulling the right arms down, controlling the hands of Esparza, and Esparza just can't get to her knees. That's where she wants to be, is get to her knees. And Calvillo knows that. And there she is. Now she can get up. Beautiful, beautiful transition to get her back.
dominant performance by Khabib. This is huge. She's looking for the back. Look at the way she spins. Oh, look at this. Carla winds up on top, though.
And that's what we haven't seen yet, is Khabib get out scrambled. That's one time she lost a scramble.
Crowd enjoying the action there in round one. A nice answer by Esparza after Khabib had dominated. Tonight's Corner Cam is brought to you by AirAsia. Now everyone can fly.
Have a seat. Good, let's go with some stand-up. Nice round. Nice round.
Find your jab. Watch o arm in the grande pause. The time the grande pause. She go look for the arm all the time. And as I control, she try to throw the leg for catch one.
Hey,
Stop.
she only coming right hand, so let's have the left hand up. Left hand up. Look for those jabs. Keep her at range. Uppercuts are there. Hey, right kick too when she walks out that way. Snap it to the head. Good work. Good work. Nice round. Careful on those scrambles. Stay on top. Stay on top.
Okay, yeah.
Hey, and short elbows on the ground.
Here we see the end of the round. Cynthia Calvillo on top of Carla Esparza. Landing hammer fist, punches all over her, but goes for the back. They spin a few times, but Esparza winds up on top. That was big.
Second round, here we go, ladies. Fight! Justin Buchholz, Fabio Prado trying to keep it simple in the corner of Cynthia Calvillo. Here, round two of a possible three. Nice right hand lands flush for Esparza. Carla's worked a lot on her striking defense, head movement.
Watch how Esparza throws the jab out there. She's just throwing it out there to try to get Calvillo to throw something back at her, and then she shoots underneath the strikes. That's what we saw Calvillo do to Esparza in the first round. Now, that is Carla Esparza's gift. She just hangs her head out there and waits for you to punch it.
Head out to your neighborhood 7-Eleven and get a UFC branded Big Gulp for a chance to instantly win prizes.
Calvillo timed that one, saw her coming to the left and caught her with that overhand right.
Esparza continuing to attack that lead leg of Calvillo. She's in, she's out.
Now look what she's doing. She's circling right, being Esparza, and she's pulling her into the leg kick and pulling her into the right hand. That's all she does. She's just circling right and pulling Calvillo right into the heavy side, the strong side of Esparza.
Colin Oyama, one of the more underappreciated striking coaches in the game.
She flipped her there.
She's touched like 3 of those right hands. Calvillo needs to just press forward, grip the body, and start creating some scrambles here.
And Carla's doing a good job of stepping to her right as well, avoiding the right hand of Cynthia. But look at this, Cynthia gets around.
Into the red corner of
She only
Calvillo.
have right hand. Get your left up. That's it. Just right hand. You got to read on it now. Good. Start picking with the jab. Right there. Cut her off. Yeah. Be quick with the jab. She's coming right hand. Nice. Where's the left hook at? There. Keep touching. Keep her off balance. There. She got. Let's go. Keep touching. Cut her off. Nice.
Looked like Calvillo stuck Esparza with that right hand. Carla has yet to attempt a takedown as we hit the midpoint of this one.
There it is, 1-2.
Good hits by Calvillo.
Buchholz calling for Calvillo to strike despite being pretty dominant on the ground in round one. Ooh. Counter right lands for Carla.
Yeah, and it's because the way Cynthia's moving in, she's got her hands down, her face is up. It's almost like she's not concerned about the power of Carla Esparza, she's just considering getting her shots off.
Part of the problem is the way that Esparza's circling is to the weak side. So the only weapon that Calvillo has when Esparza circles right is the left hook. Ooh, big right hand. It's smart. Esparza's just pulling right, pulling right, pulling right. And you see Calvillo kind of chase her and walk into the leg kick or the right hand. Ooh, Switched it to a hook on that.
Oh,
Ooh.
right hand by
These girls are
Cynthia
both eating
Calvillo.
big right hands.
Yeah.
90 seconds, man, Carla, let's go.
Pretty good
Esparza
entry.
with the takedown, very nice.
And that's a completely different takedown attempt that she had the first 2 times. So you see, that's the difference. Switching the takedown attempts.
A nice leg kick by Carla Esparza as Cynthia was trying to stand up.
1 minute, put pressure on it. Pressure, Carla, pressure. Walk her down and put pressure.
1 minute to go in this second round.
There you go, Carly.
Esparza lands the right hand there. That left hand of Calvillo is lowered despite the imperatives from her corner. Distance strike, slight advantage for Carla.
Put her down, 40 seconds. Short time. Hands up. That's it, Carla. Let it fly, Carla.
Oh, good kick there by Esparza. Esparza mixing things up well.
She's pretty much using the same weapon. She's using the right hand and the right low kick. What she's doing well is just circling and switching to the single leg, adding that takedown in there, switches up the striking and the reads for Calvillo. Calvillo doing a great job getting to her feet, though.
Yeah,
not spending any time on her back at all, which was how we saw Esparza lose the first round.
Yeah.
Calvillo not making that mistake.
Yeah, marked difference, right? As soon as she goes to the ground, she's immediately bouncing back up.
And that's an alpha male trait. That's something they focus on, is not being held on their back, because they come from a wrestling background and wrestlers don't like being on their back.
Good, deep breath, deep breath. Deep breath. Good, hey, left hand up. The only punch she has is a right hand. So I want you moving to your right. Move the feet a little bit, stay in the low stance, looking good. Work off that jab. All she has is a right hand. Touch her out with that left. Hey, head kick is there too. Her hands are way down at the end of the exchanges. Keep stuffing those takedowns. She's coming in on the head outside single.
Yeah.
Let's defend that leg. Defend that leg. Don't let her get that.
Right away. I want to pound this girl on the floor, dude. If you hammer her, she'll roll over. But get top control.
Hips down when you take her down, hips down.
But she's starting to get tired. You can see in the second round, but we only got 1 round left, right? Push the pace behind your hands. Unload the heavy takedown. Let's go. And control it on top and hammer it.
Right, third and final round here. Carla Esparza, the far more experienced fighter. 18th pro fight against just 7 for Cynthia Calvillo. And perhaps that rearing its head a little bit in that second round.
Okay, last round. Here we go. Fight.
Can't overstate how important these 5 minutes are when you talk about this strawweight division and moving into 2018. Tisha Torres and Jessica Andrade have a date as everyone chases down the new champ, Rose Namajunas.
Good leg kick by Esparza there. As the 2 exchange punches. I like what Esparza's corner was telling her.
Yeah.
But I don't think that Cynthia's tired, though. They were saying that she's tired. I don't think it's that. I think it's just a little bit of frustration in terms of how the fight is going. After the first round in particular, I think she expected it to go her way more.
Big difference that I've noticed so far in the styles is they're both extremely efficient with their grappling, but Calvillo has better top control with the pressure of her hips. You heard Esparza's corner say, get your hips down off this takedown, and that's just using wrestling instead of jiu-jitsu once the takedown takes place. Right when...
Go ahead, Dom.
No, I was just going to say, right when you hit the mat, you got to start using jiu-jitsu to get back up again, because the sport changes once you hit the mat and you're on your back. It's no longer wrestling, and that's what Calvillo is doing a little bit better than Esparza. Esparza continues to wrestle when he hits the mat.
It is rare to see Esparza enter well on a single leg attempt and get overpowered to that extent by someone in this division, but Calvillo with a lot of physical gifts.
She has very good balance, and she just, from the camp she comes, she's grappling constantly, so she's just seen a lot of these repetitions.
Under 3.5 minutes now to go.
Good inside leg kick by Carla.
I like Carla's using her hands to finish the combinations with kicks. That's something new she's added. She didn't always do that. Looks like Calvillo's made the reads on the takedown attempts of Esparza now. She's tried the single too many times. Esparza can't be couldn't get the double, so it looks like Calvillo's made the adjustment on the wrestling of Esparza now. Now let's see if she can close in on the striking.
Superman punch attempt, and the right hand behind it. And there's another leg kick by Carla. Much more kicking from the former champion.
Nothing doing on that wayward shot from Carla Esparza.
And that's the good thing about the pressure of Calvillo here. You see, it forces Esparza to shoot off the pressure instead of choosing when she's shooting. So Calvillo pressure, pressure, pressure with hands, tight defense, and then Esparza shoots not when she wants to, but when Calvillo wants her to, so she can defend.
You're right, Joe. Cynthia she doesn't fear the power coming back her way.
But because of that, she's getting tagged a lot.
Yeah.
2 minutes.
It almost would be better if she did fear it.
Yeah.
Go 2 up-ups. Up, step in. You gotta step in.
I think walking in, we all knew Calvillo kind of doesn't mind getting punched.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, here she goes. Carla looking for a headlock here. Perhaps a guillotine attempt. Oh, left hook on the break. Very nice.
Hook.
That's the experience of Carla Esparza shining through here.
And that left hand maybe got Calvillo's attention as we come up on the 1 minute mark in this third and final round.
Calvillo smiles a little off the break. Okay.
Dom, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like these exchanges aren't very creative. It's like you're seeing the same sort of entries over and over again, and that's these same sort of exchanges are taking place.
And you're exactly right, Joe. And the reason that's happening is because both these women are most strong in their grappling. They take everybody down, and usually they don't have to set it up. They're just out grappling everybody. These two are well matched in their grappling, and so it's forcing them to use their striking better to set up their takedowns. Great scramble again by Calvillo to make sure she didn't get controlled on her back. And again, that's the hips. That's the wrestling ability of Esparza taking over instead of switching jiu-jitsu and flattening the hips and passing the guard of Calvillo off the takedown. So one thing to wrestling is we always keep our hips up, so we're always moving. And when you look at high-level jiu-jitsu practitioners, when they get that top position, it's like a weight is sitting on top of something. And that's been a big difference in the grappling in this matchup, especially in the first round mostly.
Carla, relentless at the end of this round. Look at this. She's trying to seal it up.
Awesome job. These girls are blending it out. Awesome way to finish the fight. Awesome fight for these ladies.
Two of the truly elite strawweights in the world putting on a show here tonight in Vegas. Some very interesting judges' scorecards forthcoming. Both women believe they have done enough here tonight to remain in the mix at 115 pounds. This fight replay is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you.
And there you see that takedown. That was the first one by Cynthia Calvillo. Timed it well, got off some good ground and pound. But at the end of the round, Carla Esparza had turned it around. And there Esparza with the right hand. Esparza working that single. Good jab there by Calvillo. And there's a nice left hook by the former champion.
As we see here, you see Calvillo miss with the right. These two are just trading right at the end. They're like, let's see if we can knock each other out. There's 30 seconds, 10 seconds left, just wing them. And that's what they did, putting on a great show to finish the fight out strong. Both these ladies mixed it up very well and showed what mixed martial arts is.
All right, these fighter stats brought to you by Air Asia. Now everyone can fly. Distance strikes. Esparza doubling up on Cynthia Calvillo. A lot of those ground strikes came early in the fight. Control time advantage Calvillo. But on the feet, Esparza certainly finished strong. The official decision is brought to you by Metro PCS, who brings you closer than ever to the UFC on a fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Here's Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. All 3 judges score this contest 29-28 for the winner by unanimous decision, Carla Cookie Monster Esparza.
2 of the truly elite strawweights in the world putting on a show here tonight in Vegas. Some very interesting judges' scorecards forthcoming. Both women believe they have done enough here tonight to remain in the mix at 115 pounds. This fight replay is brought to you by Air Asia. Now everyone can fly. Distance strikes. Esparza doubling up on Cynthia Calvillo. A lot of those ground strikes came early in the fight. Control time advantage Calvillo. But on the feet, Esparza certainly finished strong. The official decision is brought to you by Metro PCS, who brings you closer than ever to the UFC on a fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Here's Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. All 3 judges score this contest 29-28 for the winner by unanimous decision, Carla Cookie Monster Esparza. I'm here with the winner, a very happy Carla Esparza. Carla, you took on a girl who is undefeated and one of the up-and-coming stars of this division. You showed why you're a former champion, and you showed some real good improvement in this fight as well. How happy are you with your performance?
I am ecstatic. I'm so happy. I worked so hard for this fight. I knew I was going to have a tough opponent, and I'm just glad I got the W.
You got the W, and you showed a lot of new areas and aspects of your game. What did you work on for this camp specifically, and what, if anything, was surprising to you?
I really worked on my wrestling game, my scrambles a lot. Cynthia has an amazing ground game, really quick scrambles, so I knew that was really important. I added the low kick to my arsenal, and I think that really took effect tonight, so I was really happy about that.
Yeah, I think that was a big part of it. Congratulations on an excellent fight. Carla Esparza, ladies and gentlemen.
That post-fight interview is brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3, powered by Real Player Motion Tech. EA Sports UFC 3 delivers the most authentic UFC experience ever in a video game. Pre-order now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So make it 3 of 4 for the former champion Carla Esparza, who will likely take Calvillo's place in the rankings. Tonight's champions of the crowd brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. There he is, the undisputed UFC flyweight king, Demetrius Johnson, also in the building tonight. One Iron Mike Tyson. Huge UFC fan taking in the pay-per-view tonight in Las Vegas, Nevada. Plenty of action still to come here from T-Mobile Arena.
A place where I can go.
Will Smith and Joel Edgerton star in Bright, a Netflix film, now streaming only on Netflix. And Bright the album is also now available. This is one of the featured tracks entitled Holm by Machine Gun Kelly, ex-Ambassadors, and BB Rexha.
Lord, I didn't power through the struggle just to let a little trouble knock me out of my position and interrupt the vision after everything I witnessed after all.
All right, straight ahead we get to the lightweights and what will be the Las Vegas debut for New Zealand's Dan Hooker. Hooker has bounced around a lot for his training over the last few years to sharpen his skills. He says he plans on putting that work into action tonight against that man, England's Mark Jacasey. Jacasey 12-1 overall. He is a knockout artist who has already gained a lot of traction with UFC fans around the world. Jacasey and Hooker will make the walk straight ahead. And next month, the Octagon will be in St. Louis, Missouri for the first time. Jeremy Stephens set to headline against Doo-Ho Choi. And after an epic encounter last December, we'll see what the Korean Superboy can produce for an encore.
What an amazing round here in Toronto.
Spinning back fist. Man, this kid's got a chin. This Doo-Ho Choi kid is for real. Amazing fight.
Unlike anything maybe we've ever seen.
지니까 이런 기분이네요. 다음에 두 번 다시 안 지겠습니다.
Doo-Ho Choi's in for a nightmare. He's facing a seasoned veteran in myself. He hasn't had the experience that I have inside the Octagon. I feel like that puts me at a whole nother level.
Jeremy Stephens is all about power in everything. In his kicks, his punches, his knees, that high kick knockout of Honey Jason, the uppercut that he knocked out Rafael Dos Anjos with. I mean, he's a killer.
Hey! Finish the fight! Jeremy Stephens! Wow!
You want to talk about excitement? You want to talk about fights that get you on the edge of your seat? You talk about Doo-Ho Choi, the Korean Superboy, versus Jeremy Stephens. These are two dudes that just want to fight.
Doo-Ho Choi's got a lot of hype. I don't really care nothing about hype. I'm not in it to be famous. I'm here to beat your ass, collect checks, and go home and take care of my family.
경기가 어떻게 끝날 것 같냐면은 일단 뭐 5라운드 경기고 제가 처음 치른 경기지만 일단 확실히 KO로 끝날 거라고 생각합니다.
Choi lands a big right hand. Doo-Ho Choi! Ooh, the hype is real. The Korean Superboy does it again!
일단 챔피언이 된다고 생각한 적 있죠, 있고 모든 선수들이 그럴 거예요. 하지만 이제 저는 저 챔피언이 될 수 있다고 지금 생각합니다.
Everything he's working for, I'm going to take. My goal is to smash his goal. I plan on demolishing him. He's gotten his head rattled up the last fight, and I plan on loosening it up just a little bit more.
Outstanding performance for Jeremy Stephens.
네, UFC 챔피언이 된다면은 많은 변화가 있을 것 같습니다. 일단 아시아에 또 이런 선수도 있고.
I break people's dreams. I'll be willing to bet that my hand's getting raised. I'm gonna put him away.
That fight is gonna be chaos. Doo-Ho Choi against Jeremy Stephens, that's a guaranteed barn burner. I don't know what's gonna happen, but I do know that Doo-Ho Choi is a guy who comes forward. He's very aggressive. He has excellent knockout power. And you could say the exact same thing about Jeremy Stephens. The difference being that Jeremy Stephens has faced much deeper competition.
Right.
And Jeremy Stephens is still, I think he's still improving and growing despite the long career that he's had inside the octagon. He looked outstanding in his last fight. And he has unbelievable one-strike knockout power. But Doo-Ho Choi has that as well. It should be a tremendous, tremendous main event. The co-main event, we're gonna see, I mean, it's hard to say when someone is really gonna retire after they say they're gonna retire, but it could very well be the final fight of Vitor Belfort's career versus Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall, who is an incredibly talented striker, dynamic in his movements, and has a great complementary style to deal with Vitor Belfort.
Paige Van Zandt set to make her UFC flyweight debut against Jessica Rose Clark. Kamaru Usman, Emil Meek, that's a huge fight as well. You got Michael Johnson, Darren Elkins on the prelims, so we're loaded in St. Louis. It's a Sunday show, Jan 14 on FS1. But now with finishing instincts wherever a fight goes, Dan Hooker eager to add another signature win to his portfolio, but with one strike, the uber-talented Mark Chikasi can put an end to his night.
Fighters on the fast track at 155 pounds. New Zealand's Dan Hooker and England's Mark Chikasi get the spotlight tonight and combine for one of the best matchups on the card.
This is going to be the most exciting fight of the night with Mark. He knocks people out. I've got a lot of knockouts on my record. I'm looking to go in there, stand toe-to-toe with him, and get the finish.
I think me and Dan can steal the show because he's a Thai style guy. You know, he comes forward, you know, don't stop coming forward, and I'm one of these guys who comes forward as well, throwing crazy stuff out here, so it's going to be amazing.
One of the UK's top experts, Mark Chikasi's mix of power and charisma has made him a fan favorite in the octagon. And after winning 3 of 4 UFC outings, highlighted by jaw-dropping knockouts of Lucas Sayevsky and Teemu Packalén, he is clearly on the right path to lightweight supremacy.
I don't think Dan knows what he's in for, because I don't think he fought anybody like me. He's fought some of the guys, you know, normal guys. I don't fight normal. I throw shots at weird angles, and, you know, he's in for a shock.
After making his name in the UFC with a stellar featherweight run, Hooker moved up a weight class in June and promptly announced his arrival with a performance of the night knockout of Ross Pearson. Now focused on Chikasi, Hooker expects to make his Las Vegas debut one to remember.
I come to bring the pressure. I throw the kitchen sink at people, knees, elbows, kicks, punches, chokes. I'm bringing my whole toolbox with me tonight.
Well, in my humble opinion, Mark Chikasi deserves to be fighting on pay-per-view in Las Vegas here tonight. This guy is all action, 12-1. Now training an American top team, helped Dustin Poirier a lot to get ready for Anthony Pettis last month. And now it's Chikasi's turn tonight against Dan Hooker.
Yeah, I'm with you on this, and I'm very excited about this fight. I think this is stylistically one of the best matchups on the card. Dan Hooker is a long, tall, excellent stand-up fighter, and Mark Chikasi is wild. He does a lot of cool stuff in there. He's got legit knockout power, super confident, a lot of experience, 12-1 coming in here tonight. Yeah. This is a good one.
Chikasi feels that his striking can just kind of pull Hooker around where he wants and pull him into his big, crazy arsenal. He believes that his movement and his speed are going to cause the problems mostly for Hooker, because Hooker's more of a conventional fighter with the Muay Thai stance, and he said that his feet are just a little too flat for him. He says he'll be too quick, be able to hit him too much. It takes too much damage to face somebody like Chikasi, from Chikasi's mouth to the world's ears.
It's going to be interesting to see how he deals with the reach. Hooker's a long, tall guy, and he's a very good striker himself, and Chikasi can't underestimate him. But I think it's going to be very interesting.
Chikasi coming in off the first loss of his career against Drakkar Klose by split decision, and he said it was an experience thing. He absorbed 2 calf kicks in the first 7 seconds of the fight. He didn't check either one of them, and he felt like that sort of compromised the limb for the rest of the fight. So he felt like that caused him problems, valuable learning lesson, and We'll see if he can, you know, put those lessons to good use tonight in a very interesting matchup here against Dan Hooker. Casey kept the diet clean after his last appearance and getting one more in before the year is out. So Dom, here is Dan Hooker, 23rd professional fight, and now plying his trade in this lightweight division. When he competed at featherweight, he said his main focus over the final weeks was all about weight cutting. And he said when he was in there, it kind of compromised his fight IQ. So this is the weight class most people believe he belongs.
Yeah, I mean, he's very confident in the fact that he thinks that his fundamentals are what are going to win this fight. Fundamentally sharp, his defense, and the fact that he thinks that Jacasey, using all that flashy stuff, it's not high percentage. Says you got to keep some kind of formidable style in order that you can move forward in the division. When you get to the better guys, all that crazy stuff doesn't work. So you got to stay composed, stay conventional. And you know that can work for either guy. And Jacasey thinks that his unconventional abilities are the win for him, and Dan Hooker believes that his conventional stance and his style and the way that he switches stance and gets on rhythm and his height and his reach and his kicks are going to be the key. But more than anything, he said, I just got to get that jab flowing.
All right, tonight's Vegas odds are brought to you by Air Asia. Now everyone can fly. Mark Jacasey, the 2-1 favorite. Dan Hooker at plus 160. Not that I'm paying attention, guys, but 3 consecutive betting underdogs have cashed. We'll see if Dan Hooker can make it 4 straight.
Someone likes to gamble.
All right, so here's your tail to tape. Dan Hooker, 27 years old. Mark Jacasey will be 25 in March. Hooker 2 inches taller. Both men weighing in at 155 and 1/2 pounds. Dan Hooker, long man, he will have the 2-inch reach advantage. All right, now for the official introductions, back inside to Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this fight is 3 rounds in the UFC lightweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a freestyle fighter holding a professional record, 12 wins, 1 loss. He stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighing in at 155 and 1/2 pounds. Fighting out of Doncaster, England, by way of the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Mark Bone Crusher Jacasey. And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist holding a professional record, 15 wins, 7 losses. He stands 6 feet tall, weighing in at 155 and 1/2 pounds. Fighting out of Auckland, New Zealand, Dan the Hangman Hooker. When the action begins, our referee in charge, Herb T.
Dan Hooker's bounced around a lot for his training. Vietnam, Thailand, actually got married in Thailand. Trained at Elevation Fight Team in Colorado for a while, but this entire fight camp in New Zealand, trying to put everything he's learned into action tonight.
Let's fight.
Tonight's fight clock is brought to you by Air Asia. Now everyone can fly. Jacasey in red, Dan Hooker in black.
Interesting, both guys staying on the outside here.
The biggest thing for both these guys in the beginning is going to be they're going to try to read each other's speed. That has to be done first. And then that helps with the range from there.
Hooker can be a little bit plodding at times. Jacasey would figure to have the speed advantage.
Distance and range of Hooker can help deal with the speed of Jacasey. If Hooker can control the range, he can kind of slow down Jacasey by making him reach far. If you can get Jacasey to reach, you can open him up. Fakes and feints would help Hooker, more than anything. That'll pull out all the crazy techniques of Jacasey early before he gets to throw. Those fakes like that, getting Jacasey to bite whenever he fakes something is key.
Jacasey likes to talk trash, likes to try to get in the head of his opponents and sort of turn them into rivals. Hooker wasn't having it this week.
And that's the fakes I'm talking about. Hooker faked coming in, and he got to pull out the spin kick of Jacasey. If he can keep doing that, it'll really cause problems for Jacasey's timing and range. The fakes do that.
It's crazy looking at Hooker to think that he made 145 pounds.
I know it.
He's a big 55. He's doing a good job right now of avoiding the crazy stuff, but neither guy has really established his offense yet.
Think about it, the best thing he could do to Jacasey is try to make it a slow fight, because the one thing he hates is a slow fight. He doesn't like being boring. He wants the finish, and he might force it if you create it, turn it into something slow. You can't just run in on either of these guys recklessly. You got to be careful.
Yeah, Jacasey's doing a good job avoiding that side kick. He avoided those punches. He seems prepared for the blitz.
Two fights ago, Jacasey turned in the 7th fastest knockout in UFC lightweight history, 30 seconds.
Yeah, there Jacasey goes with that spin, and Hooker did a great job of catching the foot. Yeah, Hooker seems very prepared for the speed. The speed and the wild stuff.
His 23rd pro fight for Hooker tonight. He lands there.
That jab is what he thinks is the key to beating Jacasey. Once he starts touching the jab, he says, once I start hitting him with the jab, then I know I can start picking up my offense. But until then, I don't know how hard it's going to be to jab him. And he landed his first one there. Let's see what he does with it from here.
And he's doing a really good job avoiding these leg kicks too, just sliding just out of the way. And now Jacasey's starting to look wild.
Well, similar to Condit, Jacasey closes the distance with the kicks. So he kicks you. Once he touches you with the kick, then he knows he can try any kind of spin technique or kick technique he wants after that. And so Hooker is checking the kick, countering the kick, or not biting on the kick right off the bat, and that takes away the second reaction of Jacasey.
And there is a good switch in a kick by Jacasey.
That kick sets up the spins for Jacasey because it turns his body without Hooker knowing. That's why he throws that leap kick. It hides the spin.
Good takedown defense by Hooker, good balance.
Leg kick has been there for Jacasey on half of his attempts. 45 seconds now here in round 1.
Hooker being very patient, smart. Got to be patient, keep the pressure. To keep the pressure and the fakes, he forced Jacasey to make reckless moves, and that's what we're seeing here. He's just being patient.
Hooker deep in on this takedown, he gets it.
So an important takedown potentially for Dan Hooker at the end of the first 5 minutes here. Jacasey back to his feet.
The meatheads boo. It's an interesting round.
Tonight's Corner Cam brought to you by AirAsia. Now everyone can fly.
Yes, I want you to relax. Calm yourself down so we can talk. I want you to just yes. Listen. You ready to fight? Huh? You ready to fight? No. So calm yourself down. Breathe again. I want a deep one. Yes.
If you can't just kick the base leg, okay?
Low calf kicks there as well. Anytime behind the fence. Anything behind the fence. Even the double jab as well.
Any disconnect, okay? You wanna come in. Yep. The feints are working, the looks are working.
The distance is on, Dan. The distance is on.
Brittany Palmer here. Ariana Celeste, Brooklyn Wren. Glad you are too as we close out the year on pay-per-view UFC 219. Dan Hooker and Mark Jacasey. Still to come, of course, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Edson Barboza in the co-main event, and our UFC Women's Featherweight title fight between Chris Cyborg and Holly Holm. All right, second round here. Dan Hooker is in black, Mark Jacasey out of the southpaw stance in red.
The fakes are what are winning this fight for Hooker so far, because he's pulling out Jacasey's strikes.
That was a nice leg kick, though, off the catch by Jacasey.
And this is what Jacasey needs to do. He just needs to be first, get in the pocket, and start creating some options, because right now he's using the same tools, trying to set up something fancy instead of just using fundamentals to get started.
Ooh, big left hook. Stepped in with it.
It was an overhand right. He switched stance and stepped in. That's what's so tricky about Jacasey, is he switches stance and switches his strikes depending on his stance.
Head out to your neighborhood 7-Eleven and get a UFC branded Big Gulp for a chance to instantly win prizes.
There it is again. Stepping in with that left hand.
See the muscle Hooker's been able to add to that frame now that he has put featherweight in the rearview mirror with finality. Short shot lands for Jacasey.
Ooh, left hand he's timing it well. And Hooker knew it was coming, but he wasn't expecting it from southpaw. He's expecting the right hand. So Jacasey switched stance and making the read on Hooker.
Yeah, Jacasey's made some good adjustments in this round.
Right now he got clipped, and that made him uncomfortable. I promise you that. Hooker hitting him with that does not like. You see the striking happen whenever Jacasey gets uncomfortable with the range and the feints and the pressure. When that happens, he forces a takedown. And that's when we see these positions here.
Good head control here by Hooker.
And this is the underhook battle. Right now, Hooker controls the underhook and the head position, so he controls the fence.
Jacasey, good job turning it around.
He had to get the underhook to get out of there.
I think you should name your next dog Underhook.
Seriously, I wish these guys just met my dog Underhook then.
Under 3 minutes here to go, round 2. How much do you hear that crowd, Dom, when you're in there booing?
Just, you hear everything really, but it's just a question of if you're going to let it get to you or not, really.
Nice low calf kick by Jacasey, and he hits it twice.
It's funny because Hooker said that Jacasey was going to try that since he lost his last fight with it in his eyes.
Yeah, and he landed it 3 times in a row. Yeah. It's interesting that he waited here to do it. There's a nice knee to the body by Jacasey. Jacasey getting off much more in this round. Oh, right hand by Hooker. He moves in for the takedown. He gets it.
And those are fundamentals by Hooker. Keeping it basic.
And Jacasey's carrying Hooker's weight here, but Hooker almost goes over the top. Good balance there by Hooker. Gets that left hook in.
Jacasey uses so much energy here.
Yeah, he's very much muscling it and looking to explode, but he's allowing Hooker to get full back control with a triangle. He's got the body triangle on him. This is not good. He's tired. He's taking some big, heavy, deep breaths. Dan Hooker could get off some damage right now.
Jacasey has never been finished in his 13-fight pro career.
But Jacasey's got Hooker's legs on the right side. He just needs to dig his left leg underneath the heel of Hooker. The leg of Hooker that's on the floor, Jacasey needs to get his left leg underneath it and try to get that zip tie off his belly. He's got the feet on the right side at least. But
yeah, he's getting the feet on the right side because he's putting pressure on the right ankle of Hooker. Now he's trying to attack the leg with his heel.
What do you think about going under it?
I think he's doing that because Herb Dean's wanting him to work despite the fact that he's got Jacasey's body weight.
Well,
I could be wrong.
Jacasey's trying to attack the calf and stomp on the foot there, but
that's where you need the basics.
Yeah, it's not going to get him out of that position. He's being creative, but it's not enough. But for Hooker, he's not getting anything off either. His hands are tied up.
He's got his back burning the clock and going to finish the round. I mean, he's not trying to finish necessarily, but I mean, Jacasey's not doing anything right to get out of it either, is he?
No, he's not. He's not doing anything correctly. I'd like to see him switch the body triangle.
There it was. That was a good move.
No, that was better. Yeah, now he's got some space with the foot off the ground on the side where the body triangle is locked. Now he's got all that pressure on his leg, and he tried to switch it up. Beautiful job by Jacasey of immediately recognizing there was that space and spinning.
All right, 10 minutes in the books. We will go into the red corner of the Kiwi Dan Hooker.
Yeah, Stu, where's the chair? Chair. You have to get out, bro. You have to come out.
There's a water that's in your hand. Take it from there.
He was moving forward. You gotta back him up or stay in the pocket. Don't let him back you up. Yeah. You gotta
Listen
do
to
that
me.
for me.
I don't want him to take downs on me. I don't want to take downs on you. Okay? I want you to be moving, and I want you to do it. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
The unauthorized reproduction or distribution of this copyright work is illegal and punishable under law. UFC 219, Cyborg versus Holm. Mark Jacasey and Dan Hooker now with 5 minutes or fewer to decide this one.
Let's fight.
Good pressure.
Now. Here we go.
And this is what Jacasey needed to do. Early, be first.
They're both attacking that low calf kick. Jacasey with a big right hand over the top, and Hooker trying to time that knee.
And the knees work on the pressure of Jacasey. Good read by Hooker. Uppercuts and knees, but he needs combinations.
Left hook by Jacasey. The speed of Jacasey is very apparent when they get these slugs.
It's because Hooker's throwing one strike at a time. He needs combinations. Good guillotine. That's in. That's in. That's in.
Look at that. He's
There's
tapping.
a tap.
He's tapping.
Dan Hooker submits Mark Jacasey.
Wow. Very nice.
Oh. And
congratulations.
And how about Joe Rogan? You need some hand sanitizer. Throwing the mouthpiece back to Dan Hooker. Who came over to the broadcast table and says, "How do you like me now?"
I'm sure he doesn't want to lose it.
So Dan Hooker, a perfect 2-0 start to his UFC lightweight career and a big win tonight as he becomes the first man to finish Mark Jacasey. This fight replay is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you.
It's interesting because in that round, everything really opened up. They were really going after it. It was becoming a slugfest. But look, as soon as Dan gets that left arm under the chin, boy, he goes into that power guillotine, and Jacasey's tapping immediately. And that forearm is right across the throat.
And Jacasey's corner said, no more takedowns out of you. And he shot a takedown and he forced it. And he reached. And that's the key. When you get Jacasey to reach, you get openings. And the opening was the guillotine this time. He forced the takedown, the neck went right out there. Nothing was tucked. Hooker went to the full mount position, but because the guillotine was so tight, it made it even tighter. Beautiful transition to lock in that guillotine by Hooker.
And that is a nasty guillotine, too. That's the same way John Jones did it to Lyoto Machida. He pushed down the palm. Oof.
You know who we saw do that at first was the Alaskan. Oh, man.
The official decision brought to you by Metro PCS, who brings you closer than ever to the UFC on a fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Here's Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, referee Herb Dean has called a stop to this contest at 42 seconds of round number 3, declaring the winner by submission due to a guillotine choke, Dan the Hangman Hooker.
I'm here with the winner, Dan Hooker. First of all, Dan, congratulations on an excellent victory over a very dangerous guy. There was a lot of touch and go early in the fight. What do you want to say?
First things first, Sean, Dana, UFC Perth is in 6 weeks, and I won on that card. Who wants to see me fight again on that card, huh? Let's go.
You're immediately looking to get back into action, but this fight was interesting because Jacasey's very dangerous. You used your reach well, and the opportunity that presented itself in the 3rd round when you were having the wild exchange, you locked up a beautiful guillotine.
Yeah, well, I won the first, won the second, and finished them in the 3rd. I don't think there's any more you can do, you know.
Let's take a look at this guillotine. He shoots in, and as he shot in, you immediately slid that forearm underneath the chin. Talk us through this here.
That's just one of my chokes, man. I've got a few wins with that. That's my 2nd in the UFC with that choke. You gotta watch your neck around me.
We definitely do. Dan, congratulations on an excellent performance. Dan Hooker, ladies and gentlemen.
That guy can finish a fight anywhere it goes. He's never been knocked out in his career. He's never been finished in the UFC. And he is finishing guys left and right, back-to-back stoppage wins for Dan Hooker since moving up to 155 pounds. Speaking of finishers, T-City Brian Ortega in the house. And, of course, no-time Volkan Oezdemir, who will challenge Daniel Cormier for the light heavyweight title in a few short weeks. Well, we're here inside the T-Mobile Arena. Fans enjoying the action there in the concourse. You see the setup for the Netflix film Bright, starring Will Smith and Joel Edgerton. That is now streaming on Netflix. A lot of buzz for the movie. Little cameo for the Joe Rogan Experience podcast in there as well. You can watch that film right now on Netflix. All right, getting closer now to our co-main event between Khabib Nurmagomedov and Edson Barboza. What's coming up? Brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Powered by Real Player Motion Tech, EA Sports UFC 3 delivers the most authentic UFC experience ever in a video game. Pre-order now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Well, hard to believe it, but we are just 3 short weeks away from the monster that is UFC 220, Miocic versus Ngannou. Stipe trying to become, at least on paper, the most decorated UFC heavyweight champion of all time with a record 3rd straight defense. To do that, he'll have to come through as betting underdog against the #1 contender, Francis Ngannou, plus Daniel Cormier, putting his undisputed light heavyweight title on the line against Volkan Oezdemir. Boston versus New York, Calvin Kattar versus Shane Burgos. On and on it goes. We will make our first appearance on pay-per-view in 2018, January 20th, from the Bean, TD Garden. You can only see it on pay-per-view. All right, so the co-main coming up in a moment. To that end, we show you the lightweight rankings. Khabib Nurmagomedov 2, Edson Barboza 4. Massive stakes here at 155 pounds.
Well, and the only reason why Khabib is 2 is because we got everything tied up at the top, right? We have Conor McGregor's a champ, Tony Ferguson's the interim champ. But Khabib Nurmagomedov is the undefeated terror in the room. He's the guy that everybody has been saying for years is the best lightweight on the planet Earth, and certainly the best to have never fought for the title. But he's fighting a guy tonight in Edson Barboza that I think presents him with some of the more dangerous challenges he's ever going to face inside the octagon. This is a real clear striker versus grappler matchup where both guys are complete fighters, but they have a very distinct bias towards very particular skill sets. And with Edson, it's unquestionably his striking, and with Khabib, it's unquestionably his grappling.
No doubt about it, Joe, and Edson Barboza is probably going to go down as one of the best strikers in UFC history, but tonight, much of the intrigue, of course, surrounds his opponent, one of the most dominant forces in the game, the returning Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Khabib, the Eagle Nurmagomedov.
He just goes by Khabib. He's like Madonna.
Khabib is undefeated in his career and has looked absolutely spectacular in each one of his victories.
Khabib is so dangerous because there's that no-quit attitude. 8 knockouts, 8 submissions, never lost a fight in his life, 24-0. The guy's an animal.
I truly think he is the best lightweight in the world.
When people talk about Khabib, they say, you're looking at the best fighter in the world without a title.
Yeah, I'm a man on the edge, don't wanna push me.
The last time we saw Khabib Nurmagomedov was at UFC 205 in Madison Square Garden. In that fight, you saw a beatdown, a Dagestan beatdown. He took Michael Johnson down by Dana White and looked over and said, I'm the best, give me a title fight.
He's gonna break his arm. Hit is all over. What a display of dominance by Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Khabib taking on Edson Barboza is a very interesting fight. Edson Barboza's on a roll. He's won 3 fights in a row. And the last fight against Beneil Dariush was nasty. You don't just get to fight Khabib Nurmagomedov. He earned this by knocking out Dariush in that fashion.
I think in stand-up, Edson is more dangerous than Tony and Conor. His takedown defense is very good. He's best kicker in the UFC today.
Barboza's last fight, he landed leg kicks that I think knocked out wisdom teeth out of my mouth.
I want to take a chance and risk getting knocked out. Oh my God! Maybe the most spectacular knockout in UFC history.
Every time I step the octagon, I see a big war. If I win this next fight, I deserve the title shot.
I look at him just one more opponent. If I go there, I give my best, I want to win this fight. I'm ready to be a lightweight champion of the world.
My goal is break him. This is my style. I beat Edson Barboza, I'm gonna fight with Tony Ferguson. And he knows this.
If I have one chance to opportunity to finish the fight's over. I need to be ready for pain.
I want to become UFC lightweight champ and I want to retire undisputed and undefeated lightweight champion.
Well, on paper, Joe, he is one of the most accomplished lightweights in UFC history with as good a highlight reel as anyone has ever had at 155 pounds. And perhaps most impressively, Edson Barboza asked for this fight against Khabib tonight.
Well, I think he feels like stylistically he has a big advantage on the feet. And I think he has an advantage on the feet against a lot of people. Whether or not he can impose that against Khabib, we're going to find out. This is the fight that I've been looking forward to the most.
Tonight's Prep Point is brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Pre-order the Champions Edition now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One for 3 days early access.
And not just because of the talent of Edson Barboza and Khabib Nurmagomedov, but because this to me is the waiting in the wings to see what happens between Conor and Tony Ferguson.
Right.
This is all that's left. And these two guys represent extreme danger to anyone in the 155-pound division. And someone, someday, has got to figure out an answer to the problems that Khabib Nurmagomedov presents. Can this guy do it? Well, on paper, this is your best shot. An elite striker with great takedown defense that comes from a camper wrestler.
I think what gives Edson so much confidence in this particular matchup is that finish that we just saw him land on Dariush. You got a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt who needs takedowns and almost always gets it on everybody he competes against and finishes him with the submission. Well, Edson Barboza jump-kneed him in the face off of a takedown attempt. You think he hasn't pictured that when Khabib Nurmagomedov forcing takedowns? I guarantee he has, and he thinks he's the best in the world, so here he is. And he's been tested. He's been taken down and tried to take down by everybody in his UFC career, so it's not something new that he's facing with that.
I've been watching people strike my whole life. That guy is the fastest switch kick I've ever seen.
How about that? I agree. I agree.
With the support of one of the biggest fan bases in the sport behind him, here is the undefeated 24-0 lightweight contender, Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Every now and then, a fighter possesses skills and talent at such a high level that it's confusing while you watch them ragdoll people like Rafael Dos Anjos. Take a guy like Michael Johnson, who's a world-class fighter, and just completely impose his will and skill set on it. This guy can do really unbelievable things inside the octagon when he gets a hold of people.
What makes Khabib so effective with his grappling is the fact that once he gets a hold of you, he really doesn't let go. He gets underneath your arms, he gets behind you, and he just grips a hold of you like a vice grip. And once he has his arms underneath yours and around your waist, you can't get him off because his arms don't release. He keeps picking you up, dropping you on your back, taking your back, holding onto your hips, hanging on you, hanging on your head. And until that tires you out, he doesn't let go. When he starts seeing you're getting a little bit tired, you're tired of him hanging on you, he starts seeing you slow down just a little, you'll see him let go of the vice grip and start beating you down from there after he's done hanging on you. It's extremely hard to deal with, and the reason is he doesn't loosen up, and he makes the perfect moves in the right positions in order to keep you there. It's just strategy and sharpness in the years and years of grappling of Khabib Nurmagomedov.
And the skill set that comes from being a two-time world Sambo champion.
And that's what... Sorry, Joe.
No, it's okay. 21 takedowns landed against Abel Trujillo, by the way. Outstanding college wrestler at William Penn University. He has fought 21 rounds in the UFC, never lost to one of them. And these Vegas odds are brought to you by AirAsia. Now everyone can fly. No surprise that Khabib enters the betting favorite as usual, minus 315. The comeback on Edson Barboza at plus 245. We'll see if Barboza can make it 5 straight underdogs to cash. But this is amazing what Nurmagomedov has been able to accomplish, and it is good to see him back on the greatest proven ground in the sport against a challenge that he wanted tonight in Edson Barboza. All right, Nurmagomedov, 29 years old. Edson Barboza will be 32 next month. Barboza 1 inch taller. He will have a 5-inch reach advantage against the Eagle, Khabib Nurmagomedov. All right, now for the introductions, we turn it over to Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the co-main event of the evening. Sponsored by Motel 6. Ready to tap out? Check in at Motel 6 and save. We'll leave the light on for you. Book online at motel6.com. And the Netflix film Bright, starring Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, now streaming only on Netflix. And now, this fight is 3 rounds in the UFC lightweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, a striker holding a professional record, 19 wins, 4 losses. He stands 5 feet 11 inches tall, weighing in at 155 pounds. Fighting out of Nova Friburgo, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, presenting the number 4 ranked lightweight contender in the world, Edson Jr. Barboza. And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist holding an undefeated record of 24 wins with no losses. He stands 5 feet 10 inches tall, weighing in at 155 and 1/2 pounds. Fighting out of Dagestan, Russia, presenting the number 2 ranked lightweight contender in the world, Khabib, the Eagle, Nurmagomedov. And when the action begins, our referee in charge, Big John McCarthy.
John McCarthy, our referee. Khabib Nurmagomedov becoming a father for the 2nd time earlier today. His wife giving birth to a baby boy, so we congratulate the entire Nurmagomedov clan. Also found it interesting that Khabib said not only did he want the highest level opponent possible tonight, but he said, Dom, to defend kicks, you have to understand kicking offense, and he feels like he has kicked exceptionally well during this training camp. Tonight's Fight Clock brought to you by AirAsia. Now everyone can fly. Khabib. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say Edson immediately with those inside leg kicks.
Very smart, and I like the pressure of Khabib. I mean, you got to take away kicks with pressure, but then he's got to find him and head him off and not chase Barboza. That's key, too.
Woo! Again, that inside leg kick by Barboza.
Barboza's takedown defense around 87% coming in, but he certainly hasn't faced a wrestler grappler like this.
Now, see the pressure, Khabib. Look for Edson to look for knees and uppercuts on the pressure. Can only move like this for so long backwards, being Barboza, before Khabib gets a hold of him in the over-under clinch.
He's going to up top with that kick as well.
Nice.
Oh, Khabib catches him, and he's got a hold of him.
And this is where he beats people with the underhook war. See how he's got the underhook on Barboza already. Let's see if he can keep him here and then get the takedown from it. Now he's got the body lock. He wants to get it underneath the right arm of Barboza and get that body lock cinched. There it is. That's what he's looking for there. And he missed it. Barboza saw it.
Nice. And Khabib right back on him. Uppercut by Barboza. Ooh, that kick to the body again. That switch kick is insane.
Khabib knows he can pressure pass it, though. You pressure pass kicks. That's the best way to do it. If you stand back when he hits you, then it works.
Oh, my goodness.
Beautiful pressure. And just forcing things by Khabib because he knows that's his best chance for not getting kicked.
Oh, smart. Beautiful trip. Barboza on his back now. With plenty of time to work. 3 minutes in. Oh, excuse me, 3 minutes to go.
Big elbows from Khabib Nurmagomedov early on here.
Pressure is so heavy already by Khabib.
Ground and pound, nasty punches from the top by Khabib.
Barboza needs to get up ASAP. This is not what he wanted.
Just the 2nd time Barboza's
trying to push him
down
off.
his last 9.
But Khabib doesn't give you any space. It's just another level of pressure from the top.
Notice he's not on his knees either. He's always on his feet when he's on the top position. A lot of guys are on their knees here holding on, and he's just up, higher, and downward punching.
Oh, big shots by Khabib. Barboza's absorbed some big punches.
Watch it.
You never see Khabib let the guy on bottom straighten his legs out. They're always bent down into his chest, and then he's on his feet, just raining punches down from higher ground. I mean, it's just great technique with top pressure and super good balance.
He's moving into side control here. He's got it.
Don't grab it.
Ooh! Oh, man.
Big punch, looking to pass, go to mount here. And there's mount. Now he's mounted.
I like how he crossed his legs over the mount.
And I like how he went at the knees, above the knees. Now Barboza has to get his knees out in order to escape. He'll cinch those knees back down again.
Barboza's already swelling up on one of his eyes. Full mount.
That's it. He's just looking to beat him. I mean, he had an arm triangle there, didn't even take it.
Barboza just already overwhelmed. You see the look in his face. He's just getting swarmed. Oh! 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 Barboza's in big, big trouble.
Not looking too good.
Oh, he's getting mauled.
Still plenty of time to go here in round one.
Bottom leg control by Khabib. You see how he hooks that bottom leg and now twists him so that it's no longer that bottom leg. Cinches the knees. Perfect technique, perfect tightness.
The look in Barboza's face says it all. He's just overwhelmed here. He's giving up his back.
Fighting at a quick stand.
Spinning. Turning towards him. Oh.
Barboza defending right in front of his corner. Under 40 seconds to go in the round.
Nasty shots to the body. He's trying to free his right leg.
Junior, you got 30 seconds, kid.
You hear Mark Henry saying you've got 30 seconds, kid. He's just trying to get him to hang on and get to the end of the round, but he is just getting mauled.
Next level ground and pound from the suffocating Nurmagomedov. 10 seconds to go in the round.
Oh. Oh,
Here
huge
is
right. No one on earth who does ground and pound better than Nurmagomedov. No one.
That'll get the crowd going.
That was a mauling.
The power that he generates from that top position is very interesting. You see here, Barboza landing huge kicks, body and legs. Khabib says, I know you're going to do that.
And he's just absorbing them and just got closer and closer until he finally got the takedown. But this ground and pound is just next level stuff. The amount of power that he's able to generate and just the constant pressure.
Keep it in the middle no matter what. Keep punching your way to the middle. Don't get near that black warning trap. I need you nowhere near that black warning trap.
Júnior, não empurra, joelho no peito, pra você poder defender a guarda. Bota o joelho entre você e ele.
Come on, let's hit him with the knee, let's go.
Well, if you feel like you've never seen anything like it, you are not alone. There is Khabib Nurmagomedov and Mark Henry, of course, referencing that outer black warning track. We'll see if Barboza can heed that command and try to keep this fight in the center of the octagon and away from the fence.
Barboza,
easier said than done.
Sorry, John. Barboza looks severely compromised.
He needed help to his feet.
I mean, in my opinion, he looks done.
How about Barboza went to touch hands and Khabib said, no, we're good.
Yeah.
That's just a mentality, and that's a difference. That's what wears on you too, is his demeanor in there. Non-stop abuse. Doesn't ever want to be your friend or be nice to you. Ever. Not hugging afterwards, doesn't care.
Barboza's just a much different fighter.
You could see the confidence in Khabib now. He knows that Barboza doesn't want to throw because he doesn't want to get taken down, and now you can see the striking of Khabib unload. The jabs landing at will.
It's also, you see the movement of Barboza severely compromised. He just can't move right. His legs are giving out from under him. He got beat up so bad in that first round. He probably has no idea what's going on right now.
The pressure is relentless. Big kick landed.
Yeah, a lot of kicks by Khabib. Almost like he's trying
and you see that
prove a point and stop him by kicks.
You see the knee that Barboza landed. He can't land it because he's on his heels. So Khabib just keeps him on his heels the whole time, no matter what, and minimizes the damage by doing so. A lot of guys get kicked in the body and the leg, and then they just stop and freeze in front of Barboza. Khabib knew he had to eat those and keep the pressure, get the underhook, stay in the pocket, and look at where he's at.
And the output and the pace is just absurd. That's why a lot of people want to see Nurmagomedov in a 5-round championship fight in the UFC. These are big left hands.
Well, it's very unfortunate we didn't get a chance to see him go against Tony Ferguson, but the good thing that came out of that is he got a nutritionist, changed his diet around, and easily made weight, and now looks like a world beater.
Tyler Minton, the melee way, the nutritionist for Khabib Nurmagomedov.
Oh! Nope, blocked it, easy.
The pressure. Now, with the pressure, you can't throw those techniques.
Yeah, this pressure's incredible.
Barboza needs uppercuts, knees up the middle, and body shots, just like that, combinations. If he keeps doing that, he can keep Khabib off of him. But if he does not do that, which he doesn't have energy for, not one shot at a time. He's got to throw combinations, being Barboza on his heels.
Barboza's still in it to win it, though. I mean, he's trying. He's just getting mauled.
He's seeing the uppercuts, he just can't do it. Too tired.
Go grab it.
I mean, this fight's been 7 minutes long. Sorry, 8.
Barboza's almost out here. He's got to keep driving. He just doesn't have it in him. Look at his face. He's just so overwhelmed.
Let go.
And this could be the beginning of the end. Khabib's going to pull his arm out, flatten him out, and then the smashing will begin.
And you see the look on Barboza's face, like, come on.
He knows it. Yeah, he knows where it's going. He just doesn't have enough left in the tank to fight this guy off. Khabib is going to move to full mount. And Big John McCarthy, who's one of the best in the business, if not the best ever, is going to take a very close look here. Because this is where it's going to get ugly.
Oh, you can hear him exploding out of the position, not using the right techniques, which uses more energy by Barboza. He's flat on his back.
Well, he's in desperation mode.
Yeah.
Nurmagomedov continues to stay busy here and apply pressure. Just over a minute to go in round 2. Look at Barboza's face.
Who has been able to impose themselves like this on world-class fighters on the ground?
Never.
I'm having a hard time with all my years of watching fights thinking about a guy who's been able to do it, but not like this.
No, not with ground and pound.
And not that consistent with the takedowns against world-class fighters.
Kane in his prime maybe could do this to some heavyweights.
Maybe Kane in his prime. Both guys come from the same camp.
There you go.
But Barboza came in just on an absolute roll over the last 2 years since he fought Tony Ferguson, and
watch your spot.
Just has very little for Khabib here through nearly 2 full rounds.
And you know, all the injuries of Khabib are attributed to his work ethic. You can't keep this type of pace and do what he does without working harder than everybody in the world at this one thing, and it's so taxing on your body to fight the way Khabib does. And that's why he's had the injuries he's had, but that's also why he's undefeated and always in top form when he actually shows up to compete. He's always right on point.
Don't grab it.
And now that he has seemingly mastered the nutrition/weight cut end of things, this guy is taking it to a whole nother level here tonight against Barboza.
If you were in Edson Barboza's corner, would you consider stopping this fight in between rounds?
I would. Fair question.
That's an outfield, baby.
I would. Because I just, there's not a lot that's gonna.
The amount of punishment he's taken has just been overwhelming.
And I don't say that about a lot of guys either. We're all very tough. We're all in here to pretty much lay our lives out, but he's not doing a whole lot to show he has a chance to win this right now.
You're coming so close. Stay at that body. But look at me. I need you to pivot on the last punch. You're staying on the last punch. Pivot on the last punch. Step off on the last punch. You understand what I'm saying? Junior, step off on these head, body, head. Step off to an angle. You understand? Go 2-step, come back. 1-step, come back.
Júnior, dá pra você ganhar essa luta. Ele
tá cansado também.
Come
on,
keep on. Você acertou ele bem nesse round. More of it. Relax. I think it's fantastic. Tell Dana you love him. Go ahead.
Wishful thinking, saying that he looks tired.
And I think if you're Mark Henry, Joe, you feel like you have the best striker in this division. The round begins on the feet. You just give him a chance and see how it goes.
Give him a chance. You know, best striker in the division and a guy with great takedown defense, but he's been getting mauled by possibly the best lightweight in the world.
Third and final round here.
There's that inside leg kick again.
And I also like, look how tall up Khabib is. See how his posture is real straight up? That keeps him from being able to get kneed as well. He's not leaning over on his lead leg. Good balance by Khabib with his striking.
And there was a good right leg kick by Barboza, but to no effect so far.
Oh! Nice stand-up work there by Nurmagomedov.
Yeah, Barboza just can't keep him off.
And you wonder if one more takedown here could do it. Barboza posts here.
There's a vice grip around the body underneath the arms of Barboza by Khabib, and this is where he just doesn't let go.
And you wonder if Barboza's inner monologue is, I knew this guy was good, but god damn.
Yeah, I think you don't know until he gets a hold of you. And that's what seems to be the look on everyone's face after the first round with this guy.
Underhook control by Khabib, head positioning by Khabib. Keeps Barboza here. Barboza's got to pummel here. You got to pummel, dig for underhooks. Something, if you just sit here, you'll just get stuck here.
Somewhat surprisingly, Khabib Nurmagomedov has never won a UFC post-fight bonus. You got to think that is going to change here tonight. Just about 3 minutes to go in this one. Total strikes, how about 121-21 for the number 2 ranked lightweight contender.
The pressure he keeps here without relinquishing it is just tough to do. And it takes a lot of energy to do what Khabib's doing. It doesn't look like it, but it does. It takes a lot of energy to hold somebody here like this. Because Barboza can off balance as well, and he just can't get it going.
You got to give Barboza credit, being this exhausted and being able to stuff the takedown here in the third after all the punishment he's endured.
And he's still smiling before every round, to be honest. I mean, he's trying to stay in it. He's in this fight. He's not quitting. Finally landed. And that landed.
It did land in a right hand. And
Oh,
throws it
my
again.
goodness. Ducks under.
Oh, look
right
at
back
that.
to the
And
pressure.
he went for a takedown. It's like he gave it a shot.
Yeah. He just needed a little space. That's all he needed. Khabib said no thank you.
Khabib has that arm trapped, now lets it go.
What a warrior Edson Barboza is.
Yeah. Learned some valuable lessons, I think, in that Tony Ferguson fight a couple years ago.
Let go of the glove, get your finger out of there, there you go.
And fighting another true pressure fighter and fellow elite tonight in Nurmagomedov. Just about a minute now to go. And wouldn't that be something if Barboza could survive to hear that final horn?
This is just all heart and courage by Barboza. It's very impressive.
Tough as nails. I mean, we're all tough, just you don't want to see any of your fighters take this kind of damage sometimes.
Like this.
It's just non-stop punches.
Oh.
It's like a slow, steady torture, you know? Because you can't get away, but they're not enough to sleep you. They're just enough to really hurt.
That's a move.
And just annoy the crap out of you and continue to break your nose.
And John McCarthy may be close to having seen enough here.
He gets to his feet. Look at this. Edson Barboza. Oh!
Good read on the knee. So close. And Khabib not leaning forward just isn't allowing those knees to work. He's always good posture.
And how about the conditioning of Barboza to still throw offense with some heat behind it after absorbing this much damage?
Nothing but respect for Barboza.
Absolutely incredible performance by the soon-to-be 25-0
Khabib Nurmagomedov.
An equally impressive heart display by Edson Barboza. Talk about a guy who never quit, kept just whatever he had in his body, he emptied out. He's just overwhelmed by a better fighter.
Fight replay is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you.
As we see here, inside trip, Khabib's go-to takedown on the fence, switches to a single here. It goes back to the double, switches back to the single. Just non-stop transitions. The ground and pound, though, was everything for Khabib. The way he stays on top, the way he lassos those knees so you can't get away, and then just relinquishes so much punishment on you, just puts so much down pressure on you and damage that it just takes the air right out of your sails.
It's going to be very difficult to beat this guy.
All right, this fight summary brought to you by AirAsia. Now everyone can fly. Distance strikes. Slight advantage for Nurmagomedov. Dominated in the clinch and on the ground. Control time all there for one of the most devastating dominant forces this octagon has ever seen. Khabib Nurmagomedov. 9th UFC appearance tonight. Came in 8-0. And did nothing to dispel the notion that he is one of, if not the best 155-pound fighter on the planet.
Well, let's put it realistic. I mean, of 100 and probably almost 200 landed strikes, almost all of them were significant.
Yeah.
They're all significant strikes because it's ground and pound, so it's not just picking and choosing what lands heavy. They all are.
All right, the official decision brought to you by Metro PCS, who brings you closer than ever to the UFC on a fast nationwide 4G LTE network. Here's Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. The judges score the contest 30-25, 30-25, and 30-24 for the winner by unanimous decision, Khabib the Eagle Nurmagomedov.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with the winner, Khabib Nurmagomedov. What a performance here tonight against a guy who many people thought would be your biggest test inside the octagon. Give us your thoughts on the fight.
First of all, I want to say thank you for God. God is number one. Other things is nothing. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. Today, I was like, my son is born. I say,
congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. I hope you guys understand my English. And thank you so much. Well, 25-0. You know, without injury, I can fight with anybody. Now, if UFC give me 1 hour rest, I can fight one more time with Conor or Tony. That no problem. I can. I feel great. This guy is one of the, you know, like he's the best, one of the best striker in UFC today. I fight with him 50 minutes, but to be honest, I can finish him. But I want to feel all 15 minutes because my last fight was like 1 year ago. That's why. Thank you so much, all team. Edson, for everybody, all his team. Thank you. Thank you for my father, Coach Javier. He's the best. He's the best. He's like my big brother. He's like father for me here. Thank you so much. Come here, Coach. I love this guy. He's real Mexican gangster. Thank you so much. Alhamdulillah.
Khabib, this fight cements you as the most dangerous contender by far in this talent-stacked lightweight division, with the 2 titles tied up right now with Conor and with Tony Ferguson as the interim champion. Give us your thoughts on those 2 men and where you fit in this division.
I don't think about these 2 bullshit guys. I think about only me. Next fight, next fight. If UFC tell me, hey, what you want? I'm gonna say Tony Ferguson because he 10 win streak in lightweight. I'm 25 win streak. I'm undefeated all my career. Tony Ferguson. But about Conor, I don't think because he have a lot of money now. He have to spend this money. After when money is finished, I think he gonna come back.
After this fight, there can be no denying that you're one of the most dangerous men on the planet Earth.
And I wanna say thank you for my whole team, Eagles and me. Большое спасибо. Большое спасибо, который мне долгое время помогает. Зиаудину Гаджиевичу, моему отцу, всем моим друзьям, братьям, кто были со мной. Alhamdulillah, thank you so much.
Congratulations on an overwhelming performance. Khabib Nurmagomedov, ladies and gentlemen.
Nurmagomedov's exactly right. Focus on himself. The fights will happen, the big fight will happen, and he will get that title shot because they can't dodge him anymore like this.
You can be sure the Eagles MMA team is celebrating in Moscow and beyond. 25-0 for Khabib Nurmagomedov. All right, still to come, our UFC Women's Featherweight title fight between Cris Cyborg and Holly Holm. What's coming up? Brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Powered by Real Player Motion Tech, EA Sports UFC 3 delivers the most authentic UFC experience ever in a video game. Pre-order now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Well, 3 weeks from tonight, the UFC heads to one of America's best sports cities, and live that January night from the TD Garden in Boston, as anticipated, a heavyweight championship fight as the Octagon has hosted in years.
The baddest man on the planet. The one who can beat any man on earth in a fight.
That is one intimidating man.
The UFC World Heavyweight Champion Stipe Miocic earned the baddest man moniker by annihilating opponents with ruthless efficiency.
I'm too many years in the zone, too many years to rebuild what I own, and many dumb fools try to take what I've grown.
But Miocic's reign is under siege by a terrifying new challenger.
This is the future.
Francis Ngannou, a mountain of destructive potential and shocking power.
Francis Ngannou has arrived! Aging Stipe, Francis Ngannou is coming!
So best be on your way before the tidal wave breaks, cause you don't wanna come to meet the reaper that awaits.
Who is the baddest man on the planet? On January 20th, the answer to such an enduring question could change in an instant.
We in the title fight, blow for a blow, and you can take the scene while I take over the show.
Two of the most dangerous men walking the face of God's green earth.
In my opinion, that's the most compelling heavyweight matchup of all time. When you have a champion that has the potential to break the title-winning record of 3 title defenses, which shows you how crazy the heavyweight division is, and no one's ever gotten past 2 title defenses. And then you have this guy who doesn't even seem like a real human. He seems like someone created in a lab, like some superhuman character who just knocks people senseless with one shot in a way that we have I can't recall anybody being as dangerous as him with one shot. You cannot make a mistake against him. But we've never seen him tested. We've never seen him in any real adversity. And the question is, can Stipe do that to him? And I can't wait to find out.
And you've been in this scene for all of these fights, so that's some high praise from you. How about Carl Weathers, Apollo Creed with the VO? Outstanding feature from our entire production crew there. All right, now, as we get ready for Miocic and Ngannou, I want to show you the heavyweight rankings brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3, powered by Real Player Motion Tech. EA Sports UFC 3 delivers the most authentic UFC experience ever in a video game. Pre-order now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And Dom, didn't take Ngannou long to become the heavyweight division's #1 contender.
Well, Ngannou's just knocking everybody out before they can even grab a hold of him and try to wrestle him. Can Stipe wrestle him, mix in the strikes, get him to the mat, try to put him on his butt so he can't knock Stipe out? That's really what it comes down to. We haven't seen it yet. Can the champ do it?
All right, so January 20th, not all that long after his big knockout of Alistair Overeem, Francis Ngannou gets his crack at Stipe Miocic's UFC heavyweight title.
Before you watch the women's featherweight title fight between Cris Cyborg and Holly Holm, enjoy this exclusive look at the new Netflix film, Bright, starring Will Smith and Joel Edgerton, now streaming only on Netflix.
If this falls into the wrong hands, the whole world is in danger. That's not good. I think we should spend our time just trying to survive.
Copy that.
Get back, homeboy.
How can you make a shootout awkward?
Take me.
Bright, now playing whenever you want.
Right now?
Really? Wherever you are.
That's what we do.
And now live from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, it is time for the main event for UFC 219, Cyborg versus Holm. So the UFC featherweight title is on the line, but when Chris Cyborg defends here against Holly Holm tonight, the winner may also walk away with the unofficial title of greatest women's MMA fighter of all time.
In the UFC 219 main event, you have featherweight champion of the world Chris Cyborg defending her title against former bantamweight champion Holly Holm. This fight is going to be crazy.
You can run for a long time, run for a long time, and this could do run for a long time. Sooner or later, you gotta get down. Sooner or later. Let me tell you, the God's gonna cut you down.
I don't want to be defined by one fight. I want to be defined by my whole career and what I've done.
Cyborg pouring it on, and she does not discriminate, going to the head, then to the body.
I won't kill her, but you know, I have a lot of opportunities. I can submit to her too.
When you talk about Chris Cyborg, you talk about power at the highest level and power in its truest form.
She's taking it to left right now.
I don't think she fight nobody with big power hands ahead. And for sure somebody go down and they're gonna be Holly.
She's hurt bad. I don't think she knows where she's at.
It's all over! Just like that!
Holly Holm has the type of style that can give a Chris Cyborg problem. She's and then bam, you go to sleep.
I think she's tough. I think she's aggressive. I don't have anything personal against her, but I definitely want to beat her.
Tell them the God's gonna strike them down.
How do you top what you did against Ronda Rousey? You go and you beat the unbeatable Chris Cyborg.
She can try run 25 minutes, you know. I'm gonna try catch her 25 minutes.
Oh, several plus knees now.
That's it.
Chris Cyborg.
In the end, we're all just human, and every single one of us can be beat.
So here's an emotional Holly Holm making the walk here tonight. Proud rep of Jackson Wink MMA, Albuquerque, New Mexico, and a 2017 International Women's Boxing Hall of Famer. Here is the former UFC Women's Bantamweight champ, Holly Holm. Tonight's Prep Point brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3. Pre-order the Champions Edition now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One for 3 days early access.
John, I think you said it right. A very emotional Holly Holm, and I think that the significance of this moment weighs heavy on her right now. She knows she is about to face the most dangerous woman in MMA ever.
Right. I mean, when you look at Holly Holm, it honestly just puts into perspective the feeling that we all get. You just see it a little different in Holly. I have that feeling. Every single person, for the most part, feels those anxieties, that nerves. She just wears it a little different. But everybody uses it differently. Holly has always used it to her disposal, how she needs. She might look emotional, she might look hyped up, but this is how she always looks, and she's always sharp, she's always in shape, and she always shows up.
She's a warrior, no doubt about it, and she has a skill set that works particularly well against aggressive fighters, and it's one of the things that makes this fight so interesting. It's one of the reasons why her camp thinks that she's going to be the one to finally hand Cyborg her first loss inside the octagon.
Holly even talks, Dom, about having anxiety before training sessions, right? But she has obviously been able to channel it in a positive way, and tonight she is looking to humanize Chris Cyborg in a mixed martial arts setting No one's even taken Cyborg the distance since 2008. Tonight, a massive opportunity in front of the great Holly Holm. So here she is, ladies and gentlemen, the undisputed UFC featherweight champion Cris Cyborg making the first defense of her title here tonight. And could she possibly look more cool and collected as she makes this walk?
No, she looks like the favorite. I mean, she looks like a woman who they created this weight class for. I mean, you got to realize the 145-pound weight class did not exist, and the big cry to start a 145-pound weight class was Cris Cyborg, 100%, no doubt about it. She is the one, and her title-winning fight against Tonya Evinger was incredibly impressive. Her opportunity to defend the title tonight will be against the biggest name she's ever faced in her MMA career.
Cyborg always brings in the biggest tools that she brings to this fight to make a difference against somebody like Holly, in my opinion, is the way that she deals with those side kicks, the teep kicks, and the leg kicks. Those are going to be key for her because that's the one thing that's kept the distance in the range and allowed Holly to move all over the place with the range. Cyborg has a habit of just knocking those kicks down and throwing hooks right through them. She actually answers that teep kick to the body instead of just eating it and stepping back. So that will be the key for this fight for Cyborg, how she deals with that teep kick. And then heading off Holly Holm and not chasing her. If she chases Holly Holm, meaning following her wherever she goes, she'll walk into a head kick. Cyborg needs to head her off with hooks and straights.
And then again, do not forget the ground game of Cris Cyborg. Black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, incredibly strong. If she gets on top of you, you're in a terrible place.
It is one of the most highly anticipated UFC Women's Championship fights, and it is upon us. Cris Cyborg and Holly Holm about to get it on here at 145 pounds for the belt. Cris Cyborg, 32 years old. Holly Holm at 36, the oldest fighter on the fight card here tonight. Both fighters 5'8" tall. 145 on the screws for Cyborg, 144 for Holly Holm, who will have a 1-inch reach advantage. And now for the official introductions for our championship main event. Here is Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening. Sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, Chairman Anthony Marnell, Executive Director Bob Bennett, Commissioners Stacey Alonso, Christopher Alt, and Sandra Douglas Morgan. Our 3 judges scoring this contest at Octagon side are Derek Cleary, Dave Hagan, and Chris Lee. And when the action begins, our referee in charge, Herb Dean. This bout is sponsored by Budweiser. This Bud's for you. Metro PCS, who brings you closer than ever to the UFC on a fast nationwide 4G LTE network. And 7-Eleven. Head out to your neighborhood 7-Eleven and pick up your UFC branded Big Gulp for a chance to instantly win prizes. And now, for those in attendance and UFC fans watching around the world, this is the moment you've all been waiting for. Live from T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. It's time! 5 rounds for the undisputed UFC Featherweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting at the blue corner, a kickboxer holding a professional record, 11 wins, 3 losses. She stands 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighing in at 144 pounds. Fighting out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, presenting the former UFC bantamweight champion, the challenger, Holly, the Preacher's Daughter, Holm! And now introducing the champion, fighting out of the red corner, a mixed martial artist holding a professional record, 18 wins, 1 loss, 1 no contest. She stands 5 feet 8 inches tall, weighing in at 149 pounds. Fighting out of Huntington Beach, California, by way of Curitiba, Brazil, presenting the former Strikeforce World Champion and the reigning, defending, undisputed UFC featherweight champion of the world, Chris Cyborg!
All right, we've been over the rules. Protect yourself at all times. Follow my instructions. We're gonna keep this clean. Touch gloves, let's do it.
Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. 5 5-minute rounds to decide the UFC Women's Featherweight Championship. Holly Holm trying to get into some rarefied air as the first woman to win a UFC title in multiple divisions. She will have to solve Chris Cyborg tonight. Tonight's fight clock is brought to you by AirAsia. Now everyone can fly. Holly Holm, the southpaw, in gray. Cyborg in the black and gold, befitting a UFC champion.
Counter right hook by Holly. She's stepping outside the lead leg of Cyborg and coming around the straight jab with the right hook. Step off that hook. Very nice by Holly.
And that's the same technique that Valentina Shevchenko used on her. Oh.
And there it is again, it's a shift. Nice double underhooks.
Look at this. Holly showing some strength and grappling ability here. Presses Cyborg up against the cage, but she's not trying to take her down. This is interesting. Cyborg's just kind of hanging out there.
And the double underhooks keep Cyborg there. That's why she's not really moving too much, because you can't get too anxious here. You got to wait for Holly to make a move before you start moving to get your underhook back. There we go.
Cyborg said she had to be patient here tonight, and as aggressive as she is, it's not as though she has forced the finish. She does let it materialize. 90 seconds gone by.
What's also cool about this fight is we see somebody in Cyborg who can kind of force the issue on Holly at times, hopefully. And that's what we're seeing in this matchup. Can Holly stay away, and can Cyborg grab her?
Oh, she tagged her.
Big right hand.
She stunned her there.
That was a heavy right.
Cyborg has really honed her skills over the last several years under Jason Perillo in Southern California.
If you want to see evidence of how good her boxing is, watch her spar Clarissa Shields, who's one of the best women boxers on the planet Earth, and she did amazingly well in these sparring exchanges.
I like how Cyborg's heading her off. She's not chasing her. See how she's beating the lead leg. Whichever way Holly circles, Cyborg gets ahead of it and stays in the center of the octagon. That's going to force the issue for Holly. She's just not respecting Holly's punches at all. She keeps the pressure going.
Yeah, she has smiled at Holly after Holly hit her with that left.
2 minutes here to go, round one. Holm continues to circle.
I'd like to see Holly end that combination with a kick.
Yes. And Cyborg attacks her leg.
Smart. Kick the legs and then go back up top to the head by Cyborg. Very smart plan. Just keep kicking those legs. It'll help keep Holly stationary.
Holm once again has Cyborg's back up against the fence, under 90 seconds to go in the round.
Well, what I like about this by Holm is instead of just continuing to back up, she goes to the clinch, and that stops the pressure of Cyborg so that she can get her air back a little bit. It's smart. If you just back up the whole time like Holly Holm is doing, she'll get exhausted. But using this technique, going to the clinch, even though she doesn't even want the takedown of Cyborg, it relieves the pressure of Cyborg for just a second.
What we haven't seen so far from Holly is those oblique kicks and the front leg side kick, which she uses a lot to create distance.
I think she's trying to keep the takedown from being an issue. She's looking for the left straight more than anything right now.
Cyborg's just timing Holly's punches and looking for that big counter right hand. She's landed it a couple of times now. The difference in power is quite evident.
Holly Holm proven to be pretty strong, though, in these clinch situations early. 30 seconds to go in the round.
Yeah, the power in the punches is the big difference. When Cyborg is landing, they're rocking Holly.
Cyborg was extended to a 4th round by Marloes Koenen back in 2013. But she has finished her last 12 opponents. Nice land by Cyborg at the gun. We will go into the blue corner of the challenger, Holly Holm.
Very good breath. Your teeth. Kind of like your teeth. You see her coming. Your check 8's hitting her all day long. The only time you get hit, you do a 9 and step back a little bit. Reach in. Go in. 9 mantis. Got it? I want 9 mantis when you're going. Otherwise, keep doing what you're doing. It looks good. Looks good. Hard ass, head pressure inside.
Breathe on those legs, and let's faint on it. Okay, she's moving so much, and you're just loading up that one shot at a time. You know what I mean? You gotta put some more stuff together. Jab at her, leg kick her. Okay. Go to her body with your leg kicks too. All right, you gotta keep mixing it up. Low, high. All right.
And there's the counter power of Chris Cyborg. There's another right hand she landed. These are hard shots. There's a beautiful left hand by Holly.
UFC Hall of Famer Tito Ortiz along with Jason Perillo in the corner of Chris Cyborg. Here is round 2 of a possible 5. Some serious swelling on the bridge of Holm's nose. Courtesy of one of those or several of those Cyborg right hands.
Cyborg's nose just started bleeding.
That good left straight that we saw Holly land on Rousey is the same one she's using right now against Cyborg. And that's the only thing that's really landing. They're pretty heavy.
She's got to be careful that she doesn't stay stationary in those exchanges, because Cyborg knows exactly where her head is.
Total strikes thus far, 24-9 for Chris Cyborg and counting.
And right now we're seeing Cyborg just kind of wait in the middle, and then when Holly comes at her, she just starts wooing in power. And that's a smart plan.
Yeah, and Holly's not moving her head off the center line either.
What could help Holly is going to the body a little bit more, and it won't keep her head there in the same spot for Cyborg's counters.
Cyborg's nose is bleeding. And it's causing her to open her mouth.
Yeah.
She's having a hard time breathing out of that nose.
Cyborg gets a bloody nose in MMA. It's newsworthy.
Yeah, it really is. Whoa, big kick to the body by Cyborg. It's a powerful kick.
What's helping Holly is whenever Cyborg's throwing those kicks, she's lunging in with that left, which takes away a little bit of the brunt force from Cyborg's kicks. She's timing, stepping in just at the right time so that the knee hits her instead of the end of the kick.
And there's that side kick of Holly that we talked about. And there's the high kick.
Crowd getting behind Holly Holm as she tries to slay the dragon tonight.
And left landed again by Holly. That's her best punch. You see her circling Cyborg into it. I love how Holly's going straight to the double underhooks in the clinch here. And that's keeping her from backing up the whole time, and it allows her to get a little bit of a breather while Cyborg can't pressure anymore. That's something that Barboza could have tried to do against Khabib. And that would have helped with the pressure. Then again, Khabib can wrestle. So it's a little different, but you get my point. There are answers to pressure, and that's what Holly's doing well.
Well, you knew Greg Jackson and Mike Winklejohn would come correct with a strategy here tonight, and Holly Holm executed pretty well, all things considered. Just over 2 minutes here to go in round 2.
Cyborg is looking a little frustrated. Whoa, nice right on the break by Holly.
Good left, lands again. And the movement, the footwork, the lateral movement is really causing problems for Cyborg right now, because right when Cyborg starts to catch her, you see Holly grab her. And that stops the combinations from flowing for Cyborg, which gives Holly a good chance.
And it shows you how strong Holly is when she's able to throw Cyborg around inside these clinches. She's doing a great job.
The key is the underhook. I mean, right now you're seeing that she's controlling underhooks. And if you control the underhook, it doesn't matter how strong you are, it's technical ability there. And that cross arm, you see that cross arm of Holly? That stops the deep clinch of Cyborg and allows Holly to use her underhook a little bit better when you stop those knees by reaching across the body. Good game plan by Holly here.
She came in 5 pounds heavier, and the muscle mass is evident. And physically, it's hard to recall anyone remotely matching Chris Cyborg in the clinch to this extent.
I don't think anybody's ever done this.
But also, Cyborg's being very patient. You can see she's not panicked. She's not wasting energy here. She's like, it's okay, I'll just wait. I got 3 more rounds left. Taking her time. Experienced by Cyborg. And now we're seeing Holly circle towards the power hand because she's trying to pull Cyborg into her left. But now she's walking into Cyborg's right head kick.
Another good kick to the body by Cyborg.
See how Holly's going towards the power side of Cyborg. That's a little dangerous, but that's how Holly's been able to land her left so much as well. So it's pick the lesser of 2 evils there. Great fight so far by these ladies.
It's very interesting.
It is. Tacticians.
Breathe, sit down. How you feel? Oh, listen. You're making these, breathe. Take a little water, breathe, relax. You want your mouthpiece out? Listen, you're making these rounds a little close now, okay? You can tell they're a little close. Let's just stop looping so high. Let's see if we can go straight down the middle with that right hand, okay?
Straight right.
If you guys come together, Lenore, and you get in that body lock, go ahead and trip her up and put her on her back. Take her to the ground for a second. Let's get on top of her, beat on her a little bit, all right? Put some elbows on the ground, all right? Think about that. Now listen, you're straight because you see how you keep running into each other? I know you tried that elbow. That elbow's beautiful. But we got to keep this thing straight.
Remember, don't let her pummel, and you can dominate her in this clinch. Remember that, girl. Go get her.
Okay, hyper-focused, Holly. Now she's going to really try to take over the fight. Hyper-focused, okay?
She wants your 2s, 20s, and 22s.
Let's go, Greg. Let's go right now. Let's go.
What a pleasure to watch those 2 power corners work. Dom, your thoughts on Jason Perillo's message to Chris Cyborg?
I thought he's got the right idea, but the one thing he didn't answer is, you got to deal with the underhooks of Holly Holm. You can't trip her if she's got double underhooks on you. It's not there. So really, the problem is the underhooks of Holly Holm, which is Mendez's game plan. Javier Mendez said, get those underhooks.
Holly has some significant swelling on her left eye. And that could be a real problem.
The right hand of Cyborg has been landing heavy this whole night as well.
And you see Holm has raised that left hand even higher to protect that left eye.
There, now Cyborg got the underhooks, and now she's in control where she wants to be. Holly goes straight for the pummel. And the way that she's crossing those hands in front of Cyborg's knees like that, it keeps Cyborg from being able to use her underhooks, and that allows Holly to get away.
That was a nice knee to the body by Cyborg on the break. Go back.
Holm with her patented tennis player sound effects as she advances.
I think that's karate.
Yeah, karate. Under 3.5 minutes here, round 3.
Cyborg appears more stationary now.
It just shows how hard it is to get a hold of Holm now and control her more than anything.
Oh, she tagged her with that right hand.
That one hurt.
And she followed it up with a nice knee to the body. Perhaps a window here for Cyborg.
Counter hook again by Holm.
Oh!
Big right from Holly, yeah.
The right, the left, and then the high kick.
The plus 270 underdog Holly Holm very much in this fight. Holm feints.
Oh, nice knee to the body. Good timing with that knee as well by Cyborg.
And that's because we're seeing the same strike out of Holly every time now. It's always a left straight. Circle, circle, left straight. A little less creativity is going to make it easier for Cyborg to start landing knees and big shots. Bigger shots, I should say. Holly's wearing the damage on her face a little bit more than Cyborg right now, just from the power.
Cyborg has now landed twice as many strikes as Holm. You wonder how many miles Holly accrues in a 25-minute title fight.
And that kick is getting closer and closer every round to the head of Holly Holm. Yeah, Holly needs to start letting go of the combinations to relieve some of this pressure, or at least grab a hold of Cyborg again like she was doing the first two.
She's got stung. She's going for hook kicks here.
Nice job by Cyborg to avoid the clinch there. Less than a minute now to go round 3.
Nice job by Holm, and I'll let herself be controlled there. There's not a lot of women that have been able to do that either. Stop Cyborg from putting him on the fence and keeping him there. Holm's been able to do that well. Cyborg with the power and the pressure is just too much right now so far, though.
Good kick to the body by Cyborg. Another thing that's happening in these exchanges when Holly jumps in for punches, she just got tagged there. She just got wobbled.
Yep.
She's in trouble.
Cyborg with a flurry at the end of the round.
What I was saying is that in these exchanges, when Holly runs into punch, she's got her head down and she's catching Cyborg with headbutts.
Okay, probably 2 rounds to 1, Molly, right? Keep the aggression. She's getting tired. Getting bigger. Okay, how you feeling? All right, here's the deal. Almost too much movement, all right? A little more fresh. I need Mowgli. Once in a while, all right? Hard Christies and Mowgli. You got it?
I like the leg kicks. Forget about the head kick right now. Right, breathe it. Let's break her down a little bit. Put her against the fence. There's the takedowns there. Well, watch when she circles. Just you gotta hit her with that right hand. As soon as she steps to her right hand, hit her with the right hand. You want to put them together too. Straight right to the left hook. Straight to the left hook. Straight to the left hook.
There's a nasty knee to the body by Cyborg off the clinch. And there's a right hand on the jaw and another knee. And there's a brutal right hand that really stung Holly.
Sixth consecutive 5-round fight for Holly Holm. And for Cris Cyborg, this is already the second longest fight of her pro career. 4th round of a possible 5.
And after that 3rd round, we didn't see Holly Holm get one clinch position to slow down the strikes of Cyborg that round. And now we're seeing Cyborg start to read the game plan, read the techniques of Holm. She's read the left straight, she's read the way that Holly's circling, and now Holm needs to switch up her game plan a little bit, use some different tools, because Cyborg has countered all the tools she showed so far.
There's a good step off with the right leg, the outside, and lands the left hand.
Then left hand, left high kick, left inside kick by Holm.
Early on, Holm is doing what Winklejohn wanted her to do with less of that motion.
I'd like to see her circle away from the power side of Cyborg for just a round. Just get away from the right hand. That's what she's been eating the most of, that and knees. And that's what she's circling towards.
She got countered there again with that right hand. Cyborg is doing a great job of staying in the pocket.
See Holly try to attempt to pivot in there and beat the lead leg of Cyborg on the weak side, but it's just not her comfort zone to go to the right.
Good kick to the body there by Cyborg as she changes distance.
They've managed the swelling on that left eye of Holly Holm pretty well. Oh. Look at the accuracy for Cris Cyborg on those distance strikes, nearly 50%.
And it's, that kick's gotten closer and closer every round, ladies and gentlemen. That's the one that she's looking for to finish this fight. Softening up Holly, circling her towards the power.
There's a lot of speed and power to those Cyborg kicks.
Nice stick and move there by Cris. 2.5 to go here, round 4.
Nice inside kick by Cyborg. Holly trying to go up top.
The Cyborg's seeing everything though. She's blocked all these big shots other than the left hand of Holm.
That one almost necked her.
And on.
That's looping. Let's straighten it out. Straighten that right hand. Give me that hook behind it. She's nice. That's when it makes it up. Inside. Stay focused. Walk her back. Fade out her jabbing. Fade. Fade. Make her go back. All the way back to the fence. Go a little lower with that kick.
Back to the fence right in front of our broadcast position here. One underhook for Holm.
And what we're seeing Holm do is block the other underhook of Cyborg with that left arm so that she can't get pummeled. That's what you're seeing Holm do there. And Cyborg said, I've had enough of this.
Yeah, she's turning her up. Very aggressive now with a minute to go.
No denying the conditioning of these two elite combat sports athletes.
And Cyborg stays so calm though. You've got to give credit to that. His Holm is a tough person to deal with, tough style to catch. Now we're seeing Cyborg wait for the left, slipping, counter with her own hook. Oh, good jab.
Nasty jab.
Cyborg's starting to tire in with that jab. Then we'll see the right hand land a little bit better.
Oh.
Good hook by Cyborg. See, Cyborg's reading that kick very well. She knows it's coming. She knows the strikes that are coming right now. She's seeing what Holly's throwing very well.
20 minutes down, 5 to go.
Big right hand by Cyborg. A left hook landed by Holly, but the right hand was just a little heavier. The jab really started to land in this 4th round.
It's just the power difference. It's just so obvious.
And this is somebody who moved up a weight class to fight, though. Let's not forget that. I mean, you got to give Holly credit. Not a lot of people want to fight Cyborg, much less come up to a weight class that isn't her own.
It's a tough fight. Let's make it your fight. It's a very good round. It's a 5th round.
Well, Holly's done that all throughout her boxing.
Control with that jab and the leg
That's why she's one of the best in the world.
With the right
even
hand,
now,
and then
through everything, she's taking challenges.
10 miles run. Left round. She's gonna come hard. You know what you want. Right hand. Hell of a fight, girl. Let's go. Nice side move. Let's go. Back row.
Holly Holm met Mike Winklejohn when she was 17 years old. Here she is at 36, trying to spring the improbable upset tonight and turn in a strong 5th and final round here against Chris Cyborg. She is already the first to extend Chris Cyborg to a 5th round.
Good kick to the body there by Holly. To Cyborg's credit, she's kept her composure and showed no sign of fatigue.
Hey, watch those fingers. Watch those fingers.
When was the last time you saw Cyborg go the distance?
Yeah.
So that tells you, just the real patience she has, because nobody's taking her this far and she's not getting frustrated. She's staying composed.
Well, this is 10 years ago. It was 2008 when women fought 3-minute rounds.
Nice inside leg kick. And again.
Good read on the elbow by Holm. Just missed. And now Cyborg's ready to use all what's left in her gas tank to just try to get that finish. You see everything going into these clinches and everything now by Cyborg. Nice job in the clinch by Holm. And that's really underrated by her, I think. I mean, we saw her use it against Ronda, and now we're seeing her use it against Cyborg. They're doing good things in this over-under clinch. Cyborg's just too powerful right now so far.
Whoa.
See Chris throwing with just a little bit more power this round, right?
Beautiful kick to the body there by Cyborg. Oh, that one hurt.
That was a nice read. She's kicking the leg that's sitting on the floor as Holm uses the other one. I mean, that's just very strategic at a high level.
That left kick just doesn't have any pop on it anymore. It's coming too slow. And Cyborg's clearly getting out of the way of it. Oof. She landed that left hand. Oh, beautiful kick to the body by Cyborg.
Holly's in tremendous shape, as always. Just, oof.
Another right hand gets through for Chris Cyborg, who looks like she could go 10-5 tonight if necessary.
Need somebody just a little heavier, a little bit bigger, I think, to deal with the power of Cyborg.
We have now crossed the midpoint of this 5th and final round.
The real question for Cyborg, if she wins this fight, is who's next.
Right.
Because who's going to want any of this?
I think she would like a fight with Megan Anderson, who she was initially scheduled to fight before she eventually fought Tanya Ebinger.
And Anderson is a legitimate 145-pound fighter.
Right.
She's a big woman. And she wanted this fight very badly as well.
Perhaps Amanda Nunes factors into that mix.
Good jab again by Cyborg. see her do some specific things. She's not just throwing the same stuff. She's got teep kicks every now and then she'll switch to a jab, then she'll go to the low kicks. Little things like that are making it a lot better fight for her against Holly, who's hard to catch.
Holm still mustering up some offense here down the stretch.
Very nice combo by Cyborg to just eat a couple and then keep winging.
She trains year-round, never any time off, even on vacation, and you can see the results tonight. Just over a minute now to go to decide this one.
Nice left by Holly. Again, just not quite enough on it.
Whoa. That Cyborg right hand is a thing of beauty. Oof, and there it is again, and the left behind it as well. Holly landed the left.
Nice left.
Not much time.
Holm thought maybe briefly about a takedown. Cyborg reverses, lands a knee, now another one to the body. Great UFC featherweight championship fight tonight. And of course a mutual show of respect. Chris Cyborg and Holly Holm go the distance in Las Vegas. This fight replay is brought to you by Budweiser. This Bud's for you.
There's a big right early in the fight by Chris Cyborg. There's another one. Knee to the body by Cyborg. There's a straight left hand by Holly Holm. And another one. A big Cyborg right hand. There's no question about it. Holly got shots in, but Cyborg's were the more powerful, the more frequent, and she had the more dominant performance.
And that just looked like somebody who went up a weight class.
All right, some of the numbers from this one. Total strikes landed. And you see Chris Cyborg outlanding Holly Holm in every round. Some significant strikes at the end of round 4 from Holly Holm. Her corner got a little bit excited with that activity. But Chris Cyborg proving once again tonight to be the class of this 145-pound division. And there is Holly Holm. Perhaps a little look of disappointment on her face, but nothing to hang her head about after that effort tonight against the seemingly unbeatable UFC Women's Featherweight Champion, Chris Cyborg. And perhaps Chris Cyborg answering some questions tonight and going a hard 25 minutes and looking no worse for wear. The official decision is brought to you by Metro PCS, who brings you closer than ever to the UFC on a fast, nationwide 4G LTE network. One final time tonight, here is Bruce Buffer.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 5 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for a decision. The judges score the contest 49-46, 48-47, and 48-47 for the winner by unanimous decision, and still the undisputed UFC featherweight champion of the world, Chris Cyborg.
Joe Rogan will soon corral the UFC Women's Featherweight Champion, Chris Cyborg.
I'm here with the winner, Chris Cyborg. First of all, Chris, congratulations on defending your featherweight title and beating a woman who is one of the most decorated champions that you've ever faced in your career. Give us your thoughts on the fight.
And I want to say thank you for Holm. She's an amazing fighter. She did really well here. And I say thank you, God, for the opportunity. You know, he's the first in my life. Thank you guys for coming, show up. In a little bit, I'm going to show more work. You guys are going to love me.
This was an excellent fight because you were tested by a real championship caliber fighter, and you showed why you are the women's featherweight champion. It was a dominant performance, but it leaves a question, what's next for you now?
You know, I would like to fight somebody 145, maybe Meg Henderson, and I would like to fight Australia, and I have a lot of fans there, and I'm ready for anybody who don't like to put my front.
Well, congratulations on defending your title and an excellent performance. Chris Cyborg, ladies and gentlemen.
And still the best, Chris Cyborg. That post-fight interview was brought to you by EA Sports UFC 3, powered by Real Player Motion Tech. EA Sports UFC 3 delivers the most authentic UFC experience ever in a video game. Pre-order now on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
And the right hand was a big story for Cyborg. I mean, Holm was landing her own shots, but Cyborg was just basically waiting for Holly to touch her and then just ripping as hard as she could with hooks and straights, mixed in the teep kicks, the low kicks, the high kicks. I mean, it was a beautiful stand-up battle by Cyborg and Holm, but Cyborg just mixing up the jabs in there, very technical. She saw everything that Holly was throwing and was able to just walk her down and land the bigger shots.
Dom, I think you said it best. You're looking at a different weight class. You're looking at a 135-pounder, a natural 135-pounder fighting a bigger, stronger woman. And it's really telling. I mean, this is a new weight class. And when you have a great champion like Cyborg, oftentimes what happens is the level of the competition eventually rises, just like it did with Anderson Silva in the 185-pound weight class. At one point in time, there was no one for him. And then slowly but surely, the challengers came out. With her, the only one that she has to talk about is Megan Anderson, who's never even fought in the UFC. It's really fascinating.
Well, less than 5 fighters signed in this division, and Holly Holm, of course, in defeat, as beloved as any fighter, man or woman on this roster. Tonight, though, belongs to Chris Cyborg, as she is the final winner to close out what has been a huge 2017 for the UFC. UFC 219, Cyborg versus Holm, has been brought to you by Grunt Style. This will defend. By Metro PCS, who brings you closer than ever to the UFC on a fast nationwide 4G LTE network. By your neighborhood 7-Eleven. Get a UFC branded Big Gulp for a chance to instantly win prizes. And by Harley Davidson. See your dealer today and learn to ride like some of your favorite UFC fighters with Harley Davidson Riding Academy. Live your legend. He has tied the record for successful heavyweight title defenses.
It makes you wonder, who's next for him? Oh, that's it!
Francis Ngannou!
Wow!
We might be staring at a future UFC heavyweight champion.
He's the scariest man on the planet Earth, and now we're really gonna find out whether or not Stipe Miocic can fight off this storm.
You got no place to hide. And you're running 'cause I'm coming, gonna eat you alive. The chase has just begun.
Now is my time.
All right, so the focus shifts to Boston, Massachusetts, UFC 220 in 3 short weeks. But putting a bow on UFC 219, just a dominant performance from Chris Cyborg, who deserves to headline these big shows, Joe, and certainly put on an epic performance, I thought, tonight.
Most certainly. She was challenged, and she went 5 solid rounds against a real world championship caliber fighter in Holly Holm, and she dominated her. She dominated her with power, but also with skill, with technique, with strategy. She threw some excellent kicks to the body that slowed Holm down. She hit her with some brutal right hands like that one there. I mean, and she never showed any sign of fatigue. It was an excellent, excellent performance. And for Chris Cyborg, the biggest name of her professional mixed martial arts career.
mean, this is a weight class they made for her because there's not a lot of women that carry the size the way she does and utilize it that way. We had to bring somebody who was the top in the top contender at 135 and throw her in there, and that was an awesome fight. It went the distance. She definitely challenged Cyborg, but now she made Cyborg better. That's the thing you got to remember. Now she's come up with an answer to a riddle that hasn't really been solved too well.
Right.
And that's a real thing.
All right, huge effort from Chris Cyborg here tonight, but I got to think when you crack a mic on your podcast next week, the first guy you're going to be talking about is Khabib Nurmagomedov.
He's a monster. I mean, he's a very, very unusual human being. The way he's able to dominate world-class fighters like that, when he gets a hold of them, it's literally like they're 3 or 4 weight classes lower than him. It's unbelievable. His strength, his grappling ability, his technique, his ferocity, his ability to impose his will and just overwhelm these fighters. I mean, there's no one like him. And Khabib versus anyone in Russia for the title would be insane. It would be insane. And I know Conor's talked about fighting in Russia. Conor versus Khabib in Russia would be one of the craziest scenes in the history of the world.
And it absolutely needs to happen. I mean, it needs to happen. This is a fight that Khabib deserves. He deserves to fight somebody like Conor, and Conor deserves to fight somebody like Khabib because he needs to be challenged in a different way that we haven't seen. We haven't seen anybody be able to grapple Conor the way that we know Khabib is shown to be able to do. We haven't seen a matchup like that. We saw Chad Mendes on 2 weeks' notice, and he took down a Conor, but we didn't see somebody who was prepared for a 5-round battle with somebody like Conor yet.
Yeah, but the problem is Tony Ferguson has the interim title. Yeah. Tony Ferguson is next in line. I mean, that's just how interim titles work. So Tony Ferguson, if Conor decides to continue fighting, he's got $100 million in the bank. He might not. Right. If he decides to continue fighting, he's really supposed to face Tony Ferguson.
Right. And that's a fight UFC's been trying to put together for 2 years. So.
And if they can't, Tony Ferguson versus Khabib in Russia is pretty goddamn
bananas,
compelling.
Yeah, one of the biggest sporting events.
I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. Tony Ferguson is the man. It's just, if we're going to, why even talk about Conor if he's got $100 million and he might not come back? Let's just talk about Tony, the interim title then.
Well, because he hasn't retired yet, and if he does come back, it'll be epic.
So we can talk about
it. You gotta talk about him. These are the possibilities, right? It's Conor versus Tony, or Conor gets stripped, Tony versus Khabib.
All right, Joe Rogan, Dominic Cruz, pleasure's all on this side of the table. Happy New Year, boys.
Happy New Year.
You too. Either way, we win, though, if either of those fights happen.
Listen, any of those fights are going to be amazing.
All right, big night tonight for the MMA leader in Las Vegas, Nevada to close out the year. The executive producers of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC President Dana White, Ari Emanuel, and Patrick Weitzel. Our Executive VP of Operations and Production is Craig Borsari. Our coordinating producer is Zach Candido. Tonight's show has been produced by the venerable Bruce Connell and directed by Anthony Pasquale Giordano. So many huge results tonight. Carla Esparza with a massive win to bounce Cynthia Calvillo from the ranks of the unbeaten. Mike Tyson was in the building. Mark Chikasi and Dan Hooker went at it. Another finish for the hangman Dan Hooker, who then campaigned for a shot on the Perth card in February. We shall see if he gets it. So after the win from Dan Hooker, Khabib Nurmagomedov made his return with much fanfare against that man Edson Barboza. And despite all the gameness in the world from Barboza, Nurmagomedov once again proven to be too much. 25 up, 0 down for the Dagestani Khabib Nurmagomedov. And then Holly Holm and Chris Cyborg went the 25-minute distance. In the end, though, Chris Cyborg remains the UFC featherweight queen. It is going to take a huge effort to dethrone her at 145 pounds. All right, with that, for Joe Rogan, Dominic Cruz, and our fine crew, John Anik saying so long from Vegas. Happy New Year. We will talk to you in 2018 from Boston, Massachusetts. Good night.